Private.
That's awesome.
I see Rekieta in the private chat. He's late. He's late, people.
Yeah, I don't know where.
Sliding in our
I don't know
DMs.
where Rekieta is. Jesus, you can never count on the nose. I mean, you got it. Yep, here we go. I mean, everybody's pointing it out.
This is racism. This is unacceptable. Unacceptable. I cannot believe the slander. Oh my gosh. I can't wait till Emily gets here. I'm suing all of you.
Oh, by the way, Emily's going to be late, but she's legitimately late.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I brought
late,
up the doggo first. Yes.
late for thee, but not for me. I get it.
All right, let me see. Oh, we all have exceptionally groomed hair. Yes, especially Nick with his World War II inspired haircut.
Not me. He says not me.
It is Richard Spencer, not the other guy.
Okay. Well, sorry. I never know, how it's going to go with your mods. How's everybody doing? We'll start off with the politician in the top center. He's got.
I am not a crook.
You got a handful of days, and then he comes back to humanity. Hopefully.
Yeah, the day is Monday. Election day is Monday. I've got one big billboard in the back of my car that I'm saving for tomorrow. We've got about 10,000 flyers that we still have to hand out, and that's tomorrow and the day after. So we need to recruit some volunteers. If you live in the Montreal Westmount NDG area, and I'm going to be on Dave Rubin in about 2 hours. Then a Rebel News, which hopefully they're going to publish today or tomorrow. Tomorrow morning, another podcast, and then we'll sleep. I guess maybe at some
one
point.
of these days, right?
Yeah, but it's fun. We had 2 debates this week, and I got in trouble for being a little too direct in one of my responses yesterday because
Canadian politics.
We're supposed to be responding. The question was, how do you respond to the division that has been caused by the vaccine passport? And my response was, the division wasn't caused by the passport. It was caused by the politicians' words. And apparently we weren't allowed pointing direct fingers at Justin Trudeau and François Legault. But yeah.
Oh, wait. Do you guys use jazz hands too?
What are jazz hands?
How many words are required per sentence?
Yeah, because you can't clap because that might trigger people.
Oh, no, but that would explain why I've heard some people doing that, the snapping thing, which is... Oh, yeah, so that's it. Anyways, that's my update.
Alita, how are you? It's been not quite 2 days.
Yeah, right. Well, my time has been much less fancy than David's, but it's been good. Kind of a busy end to the week, and I still have a zoo, as you can
2
see.
cats.
Yeah. Well, this is Indy the dog and Holmes the cat. They are best friends, and we still have the kitten elsewhere. She is not best friends with Indy yet, but we'll see how that turns out. But anyway, yeah. Otherwise, things are good.
All right. Speaking of debates, Nick, what's up with you for like the past 7 days or whatever? You've just been like in Liberty debates on YouTube and all kinds of drama. What's happening, man?
I'm just out here trying to educate people about a little thing called freedom. And and it seems like people have forgotten what it means. And I mean that in the nicest and most polite way. There's so many people out there who are just like, well, but I mean, it's just a little bit of this. It's like, no. As long as it's a little bit of communism, then it's too much. As long as it's a little bit of anti-liberty, then it's too much. And I think Viva in a lot of ways is trying to bring the same sort of energy, but this stuff is like, no. Like this vaccine passport, that's too much. And there was someone just the other day on who was arguing with Count Dankula on Twitter, and the guy's like, Count Dankula is talking about the underclass that's being created in these places with vaccine passports and stuff like that. And the guy's like, this would be the first underclass in history where all you have to do to get out of it is do the free thing. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, sure. If you don't want to be in the underclass, you just have to surrender your freedom of choice. That's it. That's all you have to do is just give it to the government and it's fine. And so many people are like this right now that I genuinely think we've forgotten. So here I am just trying to remind people that, especially the United States, is built on these principles of liberty, choice, freedom, risk. Those things all exist, and they're to be valued, not thrown into the gutter of history.
I just had a big debate with Nate, the lawyer, yesterday on my Locals channel. We've got a show, No Holds Barred, and one of the points that I think he appreciated, but does anybody else find it ironic that some of the same people are very upset about requiring ID for people to vote, but at the same time, they're perfectly okay with having to show papers?
Those positions are totally consistent. Totally consistent.
The inconsistency makes me crazier than just about anything else.
One is contagious. The other one's not contagious. I mean, that's the be all and end all.
I don't know. The stupidity is pretty contagious nowadays. It's pretty contagious.
Well, the funny thing is, so the concern about the voting ID thing is that a particular minority group will be disproportionately affected. But when
You're doing it with this.
and not just are they doing it with this, the proportion of effect is something like 80 to 90 times what the vote with the regular ID is. And it's like, how do you hold these two inconsistent positions at the same time? I know, just don't think about it, listen to it, get the jab, bigot, it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, look,
perfectly on time for Emily. What's going on with you now?
It's good to see you all. On Nick's point, my husband and I were talking about this yesterday because it's further ways to try to sort people by ideology. And what I'm seeing is most people who are ideologically more right-leaning into smaller government, don't really want to be told what to do by the man, tend to vote more conservative or Republican. Those who are more left-leaning are more like, government, tell me what to do. Who's your daddy? We're good. It's fine. I love it. I'm here for it. So why is the left so concerned about the right not getting vaccinated? If it's like, well, they're going to die more. Why do you care? Why do you care? Why do you care? It's your political opponents. Stop worrying about it so much. Like, I don't understand why people are so mad. And I don't understand why vaccinated people are so mad. It's like the unvaccinated people are going to harm me. Well, if the vaccine works, then the unvaccinated are no threat to you. So don't worry about it. It was crazy. I was at a concert, 2 concerts over the last weekend, and you had to be vaccinated or test negative to get into the concert venue, which is fine. It's a private venue. This is what the band wanted. It's a band I love. I'm willing to do it. I don't care. Works for me. I can choose to go or not go. Sure. But one of my friends who works in nursing home administration wore a mask at the concert because that's her comfort level. And people were fucking pissed. And this is in Southern California. People were so angry she had a mask on. And I was like, but it's her choice. Like, why are we so mad? And it's just gotten insane to me. I don't understand it. So I'm good. You know, Britney Spears' dad ruined my vacation. I feel personally attacked. Other than that, things are going good here. You know, things are good. How are y'all?
Oh, great. I just turned on the monetization. So it's a quick test to see how long it takes for yellow. Forgot to have it on ahead of time. But I'll remember to check that so I can do my drop later.
Set a timer.
I think by now the default is yellow.
The default.
And by the way, to Nick and Emily's points below, by the way. So one of the debates we had, the Meet the Candidates town hall in Westmount, was they didn't ask me for papers. I don't know who they did, but the crowd had to show vaccination proof to get in. The only candidate
was David's the elite now.
It was
no, because I said I wouldn't have shown it, and I don't know what would have happened had they insisted. So maybe I just snuck in through the back, but I didn't sneak in through the back. They just invited me in. But they were asking from the crowd, and one of the candidates, the only candidate who was physically escorted off stage by security, happened to be a black woman. I believe she's from Cameroon, who represents the Christian Heritage Party. So visible minority and religious minority. Escorted off stage because she wasn't vaccinated. And at one point during the debate, Mark Garneau from the Liberals says to me, I don't care what you believe. You don't have the right to put me at risk. And I said, well, I guess you don't believe that vaccine works all that well. And, they removed her from the stage. The only, exactly as we predicted, it affects disproportionately minorities and religious people. They don't care by design or whatever. They removed her from the stage. And then Garneau and the other guy, the Fair brothers from the Green Party, just casually just remove her name tag, take over her spot. Everyone gets more room. And I wanted to tell them to leave the spot empty so that the entire crowd could see the entire evening what we're doing here. And I couldn't do that from logistics. So I just pointed it out quite patently, clearly in my opening statements. This is the Canada we're living in. We just had a candidate escorted off stage because of vaccination status. It's atrocious.
Well, a
By
lot
the
of
way,
it's about
folks-
ideology, and I didn't think I would be leaning towards Nicki Minaj for breaking down ideology. But here's the thing: what she said on Twitter, I mean, before Twitter locked her out of her account, is she said, because I'm Black, if the Democratic Party tells me to shove marbles up my ass, I have to do it. But if another party tells me to look out for that bus, I'm supposed to stand there and get hit. And I'm like, well, that pretty much sums it up. Thanks, Nicki Minaj.
I am happy to be on the same side of history as Nicki Minaj because this anaconda do not want none if you got the juice, son.
I mean, the thing is, she was clearly being funny. Like, it was like, oh, my cousin's sister's fiance's brother. Like, it was clearly a joke, and no one can take a joke at all. Like, it was clearly meant to be hyperbole. And the everybody's like, yeah, but the health minister of Trinidad had to get involved. And I'm like, nobody had to get involved.
Emily, another, I mean, it's classic. Maxime Bernier put out a tweet that said, Maoists have infiltrated the Canadian government. Clearly tongue in cheek as a joke. And then Journal de Montréal ran a story, says, Maoists have invaded Canadian politicians, according to Maxime Bernier. They know it's a joke, but they know they can weaponize the joke to discredit somebody who is poking fun at them. The court jester, they can now execute by unpersoning. So, yeah, they know it's a joke.
That's what it is.
They want to
It
weaponize
really
it.
is the weaponizing. It is really the weaponizing of anything that can be weaponized. It's just.
We just got called boomers, by the way. In
I
the
am
chat.
a boomer.
No, you're
I
the
remember
non-boomer.
My kid asked me on the way to school the other day, my teen, he was like, so we're learning about the history of the internet and blah, blah, blah. He's like, do you remember dial-up? Like, were you alive when that happened? I'm like, oh, kid, I'm going to blow your mind real quick. I was alive before the internet.
What?
Before we could access the internet.
Whoa.
He was like,
We used to call the operator to ask them what time it was. We would dial 0. Someone would pick up on the other end. It would ring, and we'd say, what time is it? And they would tell us what time it was.
yeah.
Okay, who
the-
remembers party lines? I'll one up you.
I remember party lines.
Okay.
By the time I was in college, they had moved on to AOL chat rooms, but yes.
Look, so Eldon Bainling was saying, that Emily has an emoji in her name and why we don't. I got something to say to Eldon Bainling. Really simple. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, take that. Get wrecked.
There's an emoji for you.
The emoji started with the guys at vidIQ. I was on a stream with vidIQ, and they put a heart by my name because when the law nerds come into the chat, they always say hello with purple hearts. So it's because I fucking want to, and I spent a lot of time conforming to being a lawyer in a black suit with a pearl, an actual literal pearl necklace, not a metaphorical pearl necklace. And so I get to live my best life and have purple hair and more tattoos. So
What is that?
Fantastic.
By
You
the
can
way,
change your
Emily,
name?
yeah, you can.
Never mind.
Emily, you had mentioned set a timer.
Yeah.
We're yellow.
So
I knew it.
I blame
I
Emily,
turned it on.
frankly.
It went yellow.
Rickety. It's always my fault.
What Andrew? What are you drinking there? I need to see what that is.
Oh, no, this is just Coke Zero. I've had so much soju today, I cannot consume any more alcohol. I'm like when I got on, I'm like, oh, I got a stream. Oh, shit. Let me get myself together. Yeah, tonight.
Suddenly his window is sideways.
Yeah.
Greg in
while
Houston
we
too
have-
said he does not believe me. I'm too young to remember that. Here's the thing, Greg in Houston too. I got in a substantial amount of trouble as a teen for figuring out how to get onto CompuServe DOS-based chat, and I did not realize that the dial-up was long distance. And I think I racked up over $1,000 in a phone bill chatting
Oh,
with
no.
strangers on the internet as a teen because that seemed like a good idea. Not to be conflated with the time I met a lovely boy from Saskatchewan on a plane trip when we were both being recruited for sports, and we decided that a long-distance relationship with long-distance phone calls was a perfect thing to do, and racked up the second largest phone bill of my life. But it's why I know how to pronounce Saskatchewan.
I once had a long
ASL,
distance love affair.
ASL.
Nobody remembers. I mean, I guess we all remember fax machines, but I once had a long distance love affair, and so we faxed each other letters, and so I would come back and look at the fax machine to see if it had that waxy sort of paper on a roll curled up with a message that was like written into it, because like you push down on the paper and it turns black. And, you know, good times.
Good times.
I used to have
like boomer romance.
I used to have a cat named Fax, because he used to dial up on the fax machine all the time. No idea who he was calling or what he was sending. Probably to China. I have no idea, but that's why we named him Fax.
Not Millie?
Well, that was before Millie's time.
Okay, so law. I have absolutely not really followed anything. David's got a case, okay?
I got one while we have 5 lawyers here, or 4 who might know this. Muhammad Noor, his conviction on 3rd-degree depraved mind murder in the
murder?
It was 3rd-degree depraved mind murder that he was convicted of.
Talking about Minnesota.
Yeah, the Minnesota cop who shot the.
I know the answer to whatever you're asking.
Shot the Australian. Was she an Australian national?
Yeah.
Australian
What's
national.
Who called the police because she thought somebody was being assaulted, and then this guy, when she came up to the car, freaked out and shot across his partner out the window and killed her.
This
that
is
one.
the fact pattern. He shot one shot over his partner through the partner's driver's side window because he got startled when they're in a low crime area, and the woman who called the cops because someone was screaming in the alley approached the car, put her hand on the car to talk to the cop. Guy freaked out, shot. He was convicted of 2nd-degree manslaughter and 3rd-degree depraved mind murder. And just yesterday or the day before, the Court of Appeal of Minnesota overturned the depraved mind murder conviction. Nick, you'll have to explain this one on the basis that depraved mind murder cannot be directed at a particular individual, and that because his act of violence was directed at a particular individual, it couldn't be depraved mind murder, which has to be dangerous actions at large. So that was overturned, remanded for resentencing, I guess, but the conviction on 2nd-degree manslaughter, which carries a lesser sentence, was upheld. Nick, explain that and the impact it's going to have on the Chauvin case.
Yeah, what is with the laws of Minnesota, Nick?
They're
Defend your
dumb.
state.
They're dumb. I disagree with the Minnesota Supreme Court on this. I really do. It's over really the use of one particular word in the statute, which is others. And the Supreme Court and the appeals courts, for the most part, until now especially, have said that others necessarily means plural. I don't think others necessarily means plural when you're talking about putting others in danger. Like if I'm putting others in danger, that can be one person. And there are a few edge cases that in the past had actually had one person be in danger, but those were in the extreme minority of cases. Typically speaking, your actions needed to endanger multiple others, and that's what the Supreme Court basically said. And they said there was insufficient evidence to support the idea that Muhammad Noor put anyone other than Justine Demond in danger. The appeals court initially
He shot over his partner out the driver's side.
His argument was that he intended to shoot her. That was the argument. He intended to shoot. His act was directed at her. So therefore it couldn't be depraved mind murder, which I guess is firing indiscriminately up in the air in a crowded arena or something.
Well, no,
roulette has been ruled that way too, right, Nick? I mean, isn't like Russian roulette has also been ruled as depraved mind?
I don't know about that, but possibly.
I think you could play a 2-person game. That's all.
I think you can. But see, the appeals court initially had suggested that there could have been, for example, people behind her that he could have missed. They kind of ruled out the partner, because I guess bullets don't go 90 degrees. But it seems like in any other case, bullets can go in whatever direction you want, so as long as it would satisfy the statute. But in this one, the appeals court had initially said that, and then the Supreme Court said there was insufficient evidence to support that because there was no one else behind her, right? Or off to the sides or anything. So how will it affect Chauvin? Practically, it should have basically no effect on Derek Chauvin because his sentencing is only on the 2nd-degree murder charge, and the 3rd-degree murder charge he was not even sentenced for. But will it have a legal effect? I mean, I think they should definitely appeal the 3rd-degree murder conviction on Chauvin and get it removed, just in case they are able to successfully attack the 2nd-degree murder conviction and the 2nd-degree manslaughter conviction.
Nick,
but what
is it me or does your state have really some odd laws. I mean, you've got what, hip pocket servicing or service.
I didn't even know what hip pocket servicing was until internet.
I don't know.
Drama brought it
Is that
to
a
my
I have no
Flask?
idea what that
Flask
is. What's
type? Like,
hip pocket service?
So you can
go ahead.
You can,
Go back.
sorry, yeah, you can file a claim and without actually filing it with the court, you can just serve it on the opposing party and then give them a chance to settle before you actually file publicly in court.
I didn't know that was
learned
called.
this because of Steve McRae and KJ
and
her amazing lawyer in Minnesota, Graham Cracker, who sent out a notice to preserve to half of Twitter to say, by
including
the way,
you,
including me. By the way, preserve shit related to nothing. Here's the Vegas notice to preserve ever. So I channeled my internet, Nick. I did not at the end of my recitation of this letter say, "Oh, and fuck you," but I definitely said it.
That was. Yeah, so I didn't realize that was called hip pocket service because in Minnesota we just call that service.
Nick, look, the internet has a polarizing figure that lives in your fair state that likes to get sued a lot. And so we have learned so much about Minnesota because of all the lawsuits directed at one individual in your state.
Someone said
there are
I love it.
coming.
It's not called a crazy law in Minnesota. It's just called the law. But someone says it's legal blackmail. It's not legal threatening to sue someone is never blackmail. Threatening to file a criminal complaint against someone if they don't pay you a civil settlement is blackmail. So it's never blackmail to say I'm going to sue you if you don't pay me.
What was Avenatti?
I like this. I
Avenatti
like
was
ours
convicted.
better, actually.
Wasn't Avenatti convicted of essentially extorting through threats of Nike?
Yes, but those were actual threats of criminal complaints in the absence of a civil settlement. And then there was the other improper threat, which was wipe off $1 billion from your market cap if you don't settle, which might have been the threat. But I'm more. I think it was more along the lines. He said, I'm gonna deliver this evidence to prosecutors if you don't settle, which is itself the extortive element of it.
I like Minnesota's civil system better because you know what happens when you file something and then it's there, right? Mm-hmm. Like you have sued someone and then it's out there for everybody to see and your allegations can be taken as true. In Minnesota, you have the opportunity to resolve it privately without having to involve a public filing. And I think that there's actual value in that. It also gets the timer running on things when that threat occurs. They say, okay, go ahead and serve the person the lawsuit. And then the timer, you have, like Emily said, you have a year to go ahead and get that thing moving. And if you don't move on it in a year, then you don't get to move on it. But
Nick, the point of civil lawsuits is to publicly shame people on Twitter.
I know.
It's not to resolve a dispute.
It's to give us something to talk about, damn it.
It's like Cersei walking through the streets naked and everybody's like, shame, shame. Like that has become the point of civil lawsuits. And Washington State does this as well, where you can serve it on a party, but until service is perfected and done, it will not be published on the state court website, so it's not publicly accessible. So it was interesting because I learned that when I got sent a cease and desist letter and an entire 400-page civil complaint that I couldn't find online. I was like, oh, thank you. The content comes to my door now. This is fantastic.
Nice.
But if you have a year to file the suit from the pocket service, does the pocket service suspend otherwise prescriptive elements? Like if the lawsuit was going to prescribe within 6 months, does it suspend that? Like you still have another year, or do you still have to file within the statute of limitations?
All the timers run on service. So the other party has 21 days to respond to your service. In the same way. And if you serve them and have your proof of service and then they do not respond within 21 days, you can move for a default judgment in the court at that point. So all of the timers that would start from service there is no delay to it.
This is an important chat here from Eldon Banneling, and I'm really torn on it because I obviously want people to hit the like button, but seeing Nick do the full rapper now, that would be pretty funny. You can do that with that T-Hot stream again.
With a T-Hot stream?
Oh, dude,
okay, yes, I got it. Are you saying T-Hot to like coyly avoid using the word, or are you?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, it's thought.
We're not allowed to say thought. Is that what we're...
I
Well,
guess.
Since when?
No, it was my boomer moment. There you go.
Okay.
Ah.
Yeah, no, that's a thought stream. Eric, thought is an acronym for that hoe over there.
Over there. Gotcha.
Not here. There.
Over there.
Hold on a
Far
second.
away.
No, I'd say the hoe in the bottom center, right?
That's right. That's
So,
right.
Are you
The
going
one
to go
that will
full
not be
Rapinoe?
gone.
But if you do go full Rapinoe, make sure you don't shave. I find it better.
I just was shocked to find out how much Megan Rapinoe looked like Joe Biden. That was the thing. I did, and I don't mean this in any sort of negative way, but if you don't know, it's like the first Google result for Megan Rapinoe.
Last time I Googled something you said to Google, Nick, I had some problems. So Rapinoe, Joe
This is
Biden.
here. I'm gonna show you. No, don't not Rapinoe, Joe Biden.
It's spelled
Just-
Hentai.
I've got it.
No, don't do that again.
Look at this. It's literally the first result. How much does she not look like Biden 25 years ago with his hair pink?
No.
Okay.
I like
take
that shade of
damage.
pink very much. Wait, there were some other good colors there. I mean, maybe the brighter pink. It doesn't stay as well as the purple. That's my only comment. I like that pink though. I dig it.
There you go.
Sorry.
Get the meme machine ready, tape damage.
There's already a meme of Megan Rapinoe with Joe Biden's face on that exact picture, and it is beautiful.
Well, what's Kyle Dunning? Who's it? Kyle Dunning can if he can do a Joe
Dunnigan.
Biden, he can do a Rapinoe. So that'll be extra material.
Before the end of this chat, it's done.
So if we can bring some drama up in the chat there, we had Jason Bourne say, all of you have been vaccinated by mandate. Stop playing politics with people's lives. Get vaccinated. Your children can't go to school unless vaccinated. Now, the internet being what it is, and Jason, I'm not saying this to be facetious at all. I don't know if that was intended to be sarcastic or legitimate, as in your children can't go to school unless vaccinated is the wrong way of saying the government is preventing your children from going to school unless you vaccinate them. So the government uses this passive language when abusing the citizens and saying it's just happening. Businesses are getting shut down. People are losing their jobs, when in reality, it's the government that's doing it. So I didn't know if that was sarcastic based on some of the responses.
I don't know. I got
wasn't.
Born here again asking, has anyone who's never been vaccinated on the panel? I'm sure that everyone has if they've been to elementary school. In the past
any
30
vaccination,
years.
yeah. I mean,
But
Yeah.
Yes, they
But
had a very long period of study.
yeah, and does just because you have a vaccine at one point, is it somehow hypocritical to suggest that this mandate is not correct? What if your position is that the prior mandates of the vaccines that you got as a newborn child were also unjust?
well, no.
I
But
don't
here's
like-
the thing:
I
you can't even
personally
start
chose-
arguing that one. That's tinfoil territory. That's the whole thing. It's like you can't. You go there, and that's through that.
It's like-
it instantly discredited.
And
The thing is, you can be pro-vaccine and anti-vaccine mandate. I
Yes.
chose to get the
Right.
vaccine because it was the right thing for me, but that doesn't mean it's the right thing for everyone. And I don't think the government should tell you if you should or should not get vaccinated, what your doctor should tell you to do, who you can and can't marry. But I lean more libertarian. I'm like, do drugs and die, whatever, like your choice, have fun. I mean, I don't really care about regulating this shit. It's just stupid. And when it comes to like the war on drugs and how many people die due to the war on drugs versus how many people die from doing drugs, I just make your own choices, people. Make good choices.
This is the issue I have with this vaccine. David, you were on with us yesterday with Nick. And my big gripe is that this is, in my mind, and somebody will correct me, this is not a vaccine, it's a treatment. And the reason why I say that is vaccines traditionally, now they've changed the definition,
Yes.
are not about the person who is taking it. It's about everyone else around them. So if this does not protect the people around the person who is or is not taking it, then how do you define it as technically a vaccine rather than a personal choice? As an analogy, if somebody's a smoker and they want to go have a cigarette and nobody's around, that's their problem. If they get cancer and die, that's on them. But if they come into the room with me and they're smoking, now they're affecting me. That's a problem. Same basic principle, I think, applies in this case. Now, mumps, rubella, a lot of these other ones, it has been absolutely proven that they do establish herd immunity. It's been proven over decades of testing and everything else. This one, I mean, show me the guidance that says that it stops a spread. If I recall, CDC and FDA both said no, it doesn't prevent transfer of the virus. Or am I wrong?
I mean, part of that could,
vaccinated.
yeah, but part of that could also be the fact that this is such a new vaccine, whereas, the vaccines for measles, mumps, rubella, like those have been around for long enough that they've been developed over time. They've been crafted, they've been made better. So, and just to kind of push back and play devil's advocate, I mean, in this particular case, they could say that that's ultimately the aim, but they're just not quite there yet because they haven't been able to test it out and to really develop it to that extent.
I would
And it
suggest
doesn't stop outbreaks because the LA County jail system and juvenile justice system had outbreaks of measles and had outbreaks of tuberculosis, things that most people have had inoculations against, but those that were unvaccinated in the prison population got sick. And it was a huge issue with bringing people to court when they had this massive measles outbreak going on. So
I remember there was an outbreak at Disneyland once too, a few years ago.
It's just
that was interesting.
And in some of the biggest, most recent outbreaks of viral infections in recent history were in far left-leaning Jewish private schools in the Northeast. That is where the same people who are calling for mandates now, being on the left generally, it was an issue back then. But let me point out a couple quick things with your distinctions and analogies, Eric, that I think is important.
Sure.
A mandate is a mandate for a positive action. A proscription or restriction on behavior is completely different. And so you brought up the smoking analogy, right? First of all, I think these are wildly different. I also am opposed to smoking bans in restaurants and buildings and stuff like that. Although I love them because I hate the smell of cigarette smoke while I'm eating, I'm also principally opposed to them. I wasn't at first, and then I became more liberty pilled as I got a little older. But that
I think if the owner has a choice, the owner can have establishments saying, "I want to have smoking here. We're a cigar bar. Everybody's free to do it." And then smokers or non-smokers live with it. That's where I stand.
Yeah.
But another owner can say, "I don't want anybody smoking in here," and I absolutely support that too.
Right. But I'm saying, so I agree with that position, but I do want to point out that even though I think smoking bans are wrong, I think smoking bans are more in the purview of government than a vaccine mandate because it's a ban on behavior. And people keep bringing up stuff like, well, you stop at a stop sign, that's a mandate. That's not actually a mandate. That is a restriction on your movement. That is the same thing with a stoplight. A government system is telling you, no, you cannot do that action. And that is the entire world different from the government saying you must be compelled to do this action. Because the freedom is the freedom of choice is completely eliminated in a mandate. Whereas with the restriction, you just don't have to do. You can do anything other than the restricted behavior. The mandate, you are compelled to do the one thing. It is a complete removal of freedom, and that's why I'm opposed to mandates completely.
Okay, so help me come up with a better analogy. I'm always happy to do that. I know David hates analogies. I'm just trying to say that it is still in my mind more of a treatment than a vaccine, because a vaccine is for the purpose of the community around versus the individual who is taking it. This is about this treatment helps individuals who take it from having worse symptoms by everything that I've read, but does not necessarily help the people around them. Thus, why is this a vaccine? That's my question.
A seatbelt mandate is the closest I've seen, because a seatbelt mandate primarily helps the person that the seatbelt is on.
Or a helmet.
Right. And helmet mandate would be the same thing. And for the record, even though I only wear seatbelts and I demand everybody in my car wear seatbelts because, my grandfather's in a very bad car accident or was next to a very bad car accident that he should have been in. And the guy in the back seat crushed the guy in front of him because he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. So like everybody in my car, you have to wear one. I am still opposed to the mandate. It's almost like I believe we can make these decisions for ourselves. And but I think that's the closest
Nick,
analogy.
You are getting into very dangerous territory talking about things like common sense and logic. And we're all going to get canceled if you keep talking. I don't know what they're doing. But as a PA, I saw horrific motorcycle accidents with and without helmets. I don't know why anyone would choose to not wear a helmet, but also if you choose to not wear a helmet, you're an adult. Choose the risk. Like you get to choose
your help. Typically, your head's not a projectile into somebody else's body. And Andrew, South Korea, have they mandated it in South Korea?
No, it's not mandated, except for China, South Korea. They're following this model where it's not going to be mandated. And once again, there's a lot of cultural background to this, but they're not mandated. But you're not going to be covered by insurance. And in places like China, you're going to be criminally liable if you get somebody else sick. So South Korea, the rule is you're not going to be covered by insurance. So if you get sick and you don't get the juice, you're not covered by insurance. So that's their style of doing it there. But once again, I think the good comparison to this, and someone mentioned this earlier, it's like vaccine equity. The buzzword of the year. It's like not all these things
Eric.
Yeah, not all these things are completely equal because this vaccine is not equal to the other vaccines, and we don't even have good data on this one. I mean, a lot of people don't even realize we don't even have a control group. The control group they were using to look at this actually ended up getting the juice. So we actually don't even have the level of data that we have on all these other vaccines that Eric mentioned.
I love
Eric. You got to get the Steve Cass comment. Go up to the Steve Cass comment. We're murderers. I love it. It's my favorite. I've been trying to be a murderer my whole life. He says this statement is BS.
Yes, we're worse than Florida is worse than Vietnam. I saw that video. Good logic. That was always good for a laugh. He tweeted that one out. The misinformation about Florida and DeSantis is just like it's.
Well, Andrew, you murder require the killing of another versus like you choosing not to get vaccinated.
I know.
That's supposed to be a sarcastic comment. Is that sass or is that sincere? Like I'm
sincere.
Well, if they're still here, they can let us know. Andrew, you were on with Nick last night. What did you guys come up with?
No, we were just kind of talking about Marvel and how cartoons are ruined and anime's taken over. I mean, we like literally our conversation on the mandate doesn't start till like an hour in because we were just broing out, unfortunately, because that's the first time I had Nate on. But that aside, we had a very civil conversation on the different pros and cons, the most successful arguments, because on my locals everywhere, I try to give people the successful arguments. I talk about, hey, we get into stuff you're talking about like the science and like questioning the science, but that's not a winner in court in America. Right? The arguments you're going to win are the overly broad arguments, the major rule doctrine, the ADA, reasonable accommodations. Those are going to be religious exemptions. Those are winners, right? And we want to go with winners. We are, as lawyers, we take spaghetti, we throw it at the wall and see what's al dente, right? But we want to bring all the arguments, but just know that some may stick, some might not. I would still bring the medical arguments. I'd still bring the data, but the judge is going to be like, I don't know about that, but religion, I know about religion. Like they've heard about it, so they're comfortable with it.
I've heard of religion before.
Religion, that thing we used to worship back in the day.
Alita, where are you in all this? You've been quiet.
No, I mean I'm the same. I mean I'm in favor of allowing people to make up their mind on their own because not everyone has the same sort of comfort level with something that is brand new and is yet to be tested. And people have different health histories. And my biggest concern with the vaccine mandate is there are people who have been told by their doctors that they should not get it yet, and that's my biggest concern. Is what about them? Either they are going to have to actively put their health at risk, according to what their doctor has told them individually, or they are going to be basically ostracized from all of society, and then their health can be at risk in other ways as a result. So I mean, there are so many issues that I think of, especially along those lines. But legally, of course, I do agree that vaccine mandates are legal. Generally speaking, but in this specific case, there are more concerns because of the fact that it's such a new drug.
All right, Emily, what about employment? Some employers are literally saying, you do this or you're fired. I mean, doesn't ADA come into it? What if they do have a condition like Alito is saying? I know somebody personally who's pregnant and was very worried about this situation, as an example.
I think ADA should play into it. I also think that the government has helped private employers, because a lot of private employers that I know were like, look, we're not mandating anything unless we're obligated to, because we don't want to get sued if someone has a vaccine injury or someone has down the road effects. So most of the people I know that work in HR were saying, you will not mandate your employees to get the vaccine. You can encourage it. You can give them time off for it. You can share with it, but you are not doing that. So it's very interesting to me to see the government being like, no, we're mandating it. You know what? I appreciate the companies that are like, look, if you want to come back into the office, you either need to get vaccinated or test negative. That's our policy, but you can still work remotely. Fine.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
But
That would be a
lack of
reasonable
accommodations-
accommodation.
Yes. The
Right,
lack of
right.
accommodations is what's going to be the problem. And now we're seeing, companies like, what the heck is Ben Shapiro's company? But
Daily Wire.
Daily Wire.
thank you. Saying, we're not going to
Oops, we just
comply.
outed ourselves.
and others, you guys pay attention. Look,
I happen
if you
to know
ask me
of the
the name-
show. I don't know.
ask me the name of any housewife, and I will be able to tell you. I'm here for you. There are
What's
I
Ben
used to.
Shapiro's
my brain
housewife's
is
name?
full.
Dr. Shapiro. He talks
Yes,
about it all
I
the
know.
time.
She is
I
a
know.
doctor.
I can't get over actually that Andrew, you just said in China they're going to criminalize anybody who gets someone else sick, and they were literally talking, floating this idea in Canada. And I don't know when following China's lead became a sign of a responsible democratic government. What I love though, in seeing some of the comments and hearing people say it, if you get sick and die, you should pay your own bills. Now
It's on Twitter.
Now do
All over the
diabetes. Do diabetes, and the argument about the contagion difference is not going to be the issue. The issue is not
liver
if you get me
disease
sick, you
and
pay my bills.
alcoholism and smoke and lung cancer and
No,
I
it's
got-
like you,
Right,
Back
you're
to the drug
basically-
use.
You become a vessel of the state, and then people are going to say, "Well, COVID's a pandemic." Okay, but pay my bills if I get sick is the argument that would apply to any illness that results from my own personal choices. Pay your bills if I get you sick is a totally different argument, equally as absurd, because then it'll apply to the flu. It'll apply to STDs, which California is now going out of its way to decriminalize. So these are all mutually incompatible theories that are being held by the same people, but that are only going to be modified based on their politics. And it's motivated reasoning by definition.
Always
I have
always a
40
bad place to be with the motivated reasoning.
I have a 45-second video clip of politicians who have taken the liberty pill on vaccines. Can we, just on the mandates? They're not talking about the effectiveness or anything like that. Are you okay with playing that, Eric? I've got it pulled up on my screen.
sure. I mean,
He's already
I've
yellow.
already got the messages coming in here. It's like
I do not stand by
There.
anything Nick Rekieta does or says. I'm
It's like, oh, boy.
2 seconds in,
That's a
live
safe-
stream end.
That's a safe choice. So here we go. This is 45 seconds. These are
Oh man,
Here we go. Here we go.
Wrong note.
this is the real reason why he's gone.
Frankly, I'm not going to trust the federal government's opinion.
Who's going to take the shot? Who's going to take the shot? You can be the first one to say, sign me up. They now say it's okay.
Would you get it? Well, I think that's going to be an issue for all of us. I will say that I would not trust Donald Trump. If Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
I don't trust the president, and I don't trust the FDA.
If and when the vaccine comes, it's not likely to go through all the tests that needs to be and the trials that are needed to be done.
The American people don't trust the process. I don't trust the process.
I hate
Let me just turn the
politicians.
monetization off and
That's-
save the time.
This is the really funny part about elections is that just overnight that whole process to make a vaccine just changes. It just magically changes. And all of a
magic.
sudden everything is great.
And questions are
Let's
bad.
see, but it factored in the number one factor which goes into vaccines, which is white supremacy.
That's true. That's
Yes.
true. They finally got it.
Nick, I don't have the technology that Nick has, so I'm just going to go gangster.
It's
Listen to this.
on stream.
If you want to get on a plane or a train, you're going to need to be vaccinated. If you want to work for the federal public service, you're going to need to be vaccinated. And what do you do with someone with an allergy? What do you do with someone who's immunocompromised, or someone who, for religious or deep convictions, decides that no, they're not going to get a vaccine? We're not a country that makes vaccination mandatory, for example.
That's the same person, by the way. Sorry, that's the same person. For anybody who thinks that those might have been two separate people, they are. Politicians are contemptible people, oftentimes.
They're the only people worse than lawyers.
As are lawyers.
But lawyers become politicians, and I know what everyone's thinking right now.
Okay, Nick.
I'm just thinking that
Nick.
Castro guy had a
This
point.
guy's from you, right? Corona.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's good.
Is he trolling or is he all right?
What? What's he?
Corona.
What did he say?
Well, goodbye channel and everything else. I'm just wondering.
Oh no, he's just the stigma around the talk. Let me do it. I'm a pro at this. Okay. None of us are doctors. We are not medical professionals. We are legal professionals and YouTubers. No one on earth should get any medical advice from YouTube, and we are not giving medical advice to the audience. We are talking merely about the politics and policies behind vaccine mandates, not about the efficacy or the effectiveness of vaccines in and of themselves. You should listen to the experts and make decisions along with your personal healthcare provider as to what the right medical treatment courses are for yourself, not a bunch of lawyers on YouTube.
Like Joe Biden, I am married to a doctor, so I feel like that gives me a leg up. Like, because I'm married to a doctor, then I can. I mean, he's a dentist and all, but I mean, he's not a
dentists are not real doctors. What movie was that from? I'm a neurotic hypochondriac, so I believe that gives me a leg up on everyone else.
Yes.
The dentists not being real doctors, wasn't that the whole 9 yards up there in Canada?
Yes.
God, I love that movie.
I thought it was
also in
Hangover
the one.
The Hangover.
Was it Wedding Crashers or something?
Movies. Yeah, the Hangover movies.
I think it was
the
Hangover.
Oh, yeah.
The roller
You're
with
not a
the
real doctor.
pliers. When we're ready to move on from the vaccine, I have an equally charged topic that I would love to get the group's opinion on.
Well,
if
efficacy. Okay, sorry.
It's efficacy, isn't it?
Efficacy.
Whoa, David. Politician over here dropping F-bombs on the chat. Oh my gosh.
I'm in trouble, people.
Somebody clip out just the middle of that word for me, please.
Somebody is standing by. 50, about 46, 45. Tape damage. Take note.
Emily, if you need everyone's opinion, I have to check out in 10 to 12 minutes. What is the subject?
I would love to bring this up. Can I share my screen? Am I allowed to do that? Oh boy. Okay, so there's an attorney on Twitter who is part of the Tom Girardi bankruptcy. Tom Girardi, disgraced lawyer, stole a bunch of money from clients. It's a total shit show. This individual has been hired by the bankruptcy trustee to go after funds to bring into the bankruptcy for the law firm. He is going after Tom Girardi's wife, who is a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills. So on Twitter, she had made a comment that the reason he's going so hard after her is because of the fees. Per the fee agreement with the bankruptcy trustee, this attorney gets 45% after trial plus hard costs. So he responded with, she said, no, it's just fees. He responded with, there are 7 days left in our offer where we will add 10%. He made a settlement offer directly to the client on Twitter, or directly to opposing party on Twitter, as one does. We will add 10% to any voluntary return to the estate to refute the below claim unequivocally. We will waive any legal fees for all monies returned by next Friday at 4:00 p.m. There must be some portion of the 25 million, whatever, returned. So he made a settlement offer directly to the opposing party. And she said on Twitter, this sounds like extortion. So I would love to hear your thoughts of not only the practicability of a lawyer just going on social media to make a direct settlement offer to the other party without their attorney, and whether it sounds like extortion to you.
I don't know about
Yeah.
extortion, but
Yeah.
I think improper is high on my list at the moment.
There may be an ethics situation here
Yes.
by discussing this. I mean, it's not a private conversation, so it's like, you know, I mean, and there could be the fact that they're not in person, you know, they're apart from one another. This is, you know, digitally on social media. She can respond whenever she feels like she wants to respond. So there's no immediacy, you know,
Well,
like
there is
if they were in
immediacy.
person.
They put a timer on it. They put a
Oh,
10-day
well.
timer on it, and there were 7 days left, and he's been counting it down on Twitter. I think it's now expired because this was from September 10th. So
Yeah.
I think
But I mean,
there were 7 days
what I
left
meant-
today. Today's the deadline.
Oh, geez. No, but I still would be very, very concerned about an ethics violation with a direct communication with a client of another attorney, you know, ostensibly outside the presence, because unless they tagged her attorney as well in that tweet.
In Canada, even if you CC the lawyer, or even if you CC the client but address the lawyer, it could be potentially problematic. I ran into that once. With some sneaky people adding
If
people
it helps,
in CC.
this lawyer also commented on her talking about going on antidepressants on the TV show and said that he felt that made her a less credible witness, and started commenting on her credibility as someone who he has now sued and might be in trial with in the future. So that also happened.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing, actually. But you never know how much they tinker with the photographs before overlapping them. The one that has always stuck with me
Doesn't matter.
was Hillary Clinton and George Soros. That overlap, once you
What?
see it, you can't unsee it.
I think I'm
God.
gonna be having bad dreams tonight because I'm definitely looking that up later.
Hold on, I won't bring it up, but let me just see Hillary Clinton, George Soros.
You're gonna get a lot of stuff on that one. That's a deep ask on Siri.
That is a hole that you were going to go down. But I would love anybody else thoughts on.
Emily, I think for the social media, I mean, look, the one thing I kind of feel about the bar is they really need to come out with non-horse and buggy era rules and clarity on this stuff, because we're not living in the send the passenger pigeon. No, I mean, we got to like really come out here and be like, all right, people are tweeting, people are on Telegram, people are on Discord, and hey, maybe you want people to communicate on some of these platforms, but let's have some clarity, right? Maybe we do want people to be communicating on some of these platforms because it might be more convenient, might help the client, might service them, but we need clarity, right? But the bar is not even, I mean, these boomers barely got on Zoom for, trials.
Well, the California bar has like quite a lot run rampant for quite a long time, and you don't have an obligation in California to say if you see other attorneys doing things that are improper, because their impropriety might benefit your client, so that could breach a duty to your client. So no snitching in California, because we know that snitches end up in ditches. So it's very interesting watching an attorney that has sued someone at them on Twitter in conversation and then question their credibility on Twitter, but also stuff related to the case is playing out on reality TV. I don't think the law's ever contemplated that situation. And it's bananas to me. Her attorneys keep asking him to be removed, but her attorney, who I've had conversations with and is kind of a boomer and doesn't know how to set a foundation for things that happen on Twitter. And so that's a problem too, is lawyers not knowing how to submit the evidence. I think the bar will take this up because there has been a lot of tweeting directly at a represented party by a party that is involved in the case, not by a commentator.
I mean, when you have obvious direct knowledge that the other party is represented, in so much as you have already started negotiations of settlement, that's when, for me, you don't even contact the other party for any reason. I mean, everything goes through their attorney. Why on earth
you don't publicly
would you
shame them on Twitter?
I mean, not by tagging them. You got to just write their name and not put the ad time.
Post the screenshot.
What's stupid is that you'll reach the client anyhow by tagging their lawyer. So you're only doing it as an overt act of ethics violations.
And you don't have a flunky to do that. Like, you don't have some toady that's out there to do that so you get around the ethical rules. I mean, come on.
Well, that's what we're
would
for.
Have other people, and it's true. That's exactly what the legal commentary community does. Let us be shady. We're not involved in the cases.
And give me your stuff. I'll talk about it.
Yeah, I love getting all these ethics.
I've been accused of that more than once.
Look, I love getting ethics complaints and threats from other lawyers because of commentary. It's my favorite thing in the world. Like oh God, please, I want more of it into my veins with the threats from lawyers about legal commentary, because then I get to blow them out on the First Amendment every single time the Minnesota bar comes back. It's like, well, but he gets to say whatever he wants because he's not representing anyone against you.
Right. People forget that stuff. Anyway, it's been very interesting for me to watch it unfold. I get asked about it a lot because I cover housewives, and I get asked about this particular lawyer a lot. He might have said more than once that he doesn't think I'm a real lawyer and that I'm not a practicing lawyer. So he might have now shaken the hornet's nest. I do get at least 5-paragraph emails every time I go live about this case, correcting where he believes that I've been wrong. He's also here's the last thing I'm going to ask about. In representing the law firm, he accessed and had access to financial records in the form of American Express bills of Erica Girardi, and Tom Girardi. I'm going to go ahead and share screen. He put those on Twitter. Those are not from court documents. His argument to me was that these are not her financial records because even though her name is on them, the financial records of her personal American Express bill are not hers. It's also a Centurion card, so they had a black card, so that's really fancy.
Whoa.
But yeah,
Emily, you got to explain. I remember the first time I saw a black card. Explain what that is to people who don't know.
They're great.
The American Express black card is an invite only. You're super rich. It doesn't have a credit limit card that comes with like access to private planes and all kinds of other perks. It means you spend a certain amount of money.
Correct me if I'm wrong. First of all, it's made out of metal, and not only does it have a credit limit, it has a credit minimum that it requires you to spend a certain amount. I think it's like $50,000 a month or $100,000 a month on this card.
But yes, it
wasn't me who had it.
They also have another metal one that's the platinum one, which is not that fancy, but it feels fancy because it's made of metal.
This platinum one is the other card, and because you can't pay $100,000 at a time, in this month there were multiple payments, $99.99. Wow. Oh, the money was definitely going out, but this is their personal card. Tom Girardi was improperly paying it with law firm funds, but it got put on Twitter. My issue is that this is personal financial documents of a party that has been shared on Twitter.
That's doxing.
Oh.
We released 2 American Express bills. The cards were used by Erica, were directly issued to Erica Girardi. It was 100% her card, her charges, not a company card issued to her company. The law firm paid the bill. So he and I got into quite a pissing match over email about whether these are personal financial records. I maintain they are. He maintains they're not because they obtained them at the law office and they weren't discovery. I'm like, but it's still her personal financial record. It's her personal American Express card.
Yeah, he didn't.
It doesn't matter how you get them. It doesn't matter how you get them. If you acquire information that is personal through litigation, you still are required to protect private information. That's bullshit.
He didn't post your purse on the desk at the office and then go through it.
Sorry.
I feel you. We can take this down, Eric. It was just so staggering to me that this stuff keeps going on. And people are like, yeah, we want to see the bills. Look how much money she spent at Shutters on the Beach in Santa Monica. Yeah, we want to see it. I'm like, but it's her personal financial records. How did this woman marry a substantially older man who paid for her life? How does she know that he's paying her personal credit cards from the law firm funds versus from personal funds? Prove to me she knew that what bank account he was paying these from.
Why didn't they release the law firm's financials? Just show, should have just, if you want to show that the law firm is paying her bills and not release personal financial information, it's almost like you have just the law firm's financial records of the payments, and you could post those, I suppose, with consent of your client.
They posted them. Well, they didn't post them. They filed a summary in the bankruptcy showing the assets and liabilities from the law firm, and the law firm doesn't have a personal financial privacy, right? And they showed how many payments went to her, and they showed how much those payments were for that were paid on her card. So that has already been shown. The law firm is in debt to creditors over $100 million. So
just $100 million.
Know that just $100 million. So we know that $25 million went to her. In the form of payment to her credit cards, essentially.
This is why I think I could not be a good enough lawyer, because it would never even occur to me to do something like that, to publish it online, even if it would be beneficial for a client, to stoop to that level of practice. And to take those chances, I mean, it seems like an obvious ethics violation, probably invasion of privacy, maybe even more, because that is sort of it looks like you're threatening something more on the criminal side in order to get to a civil settlement again by saying, look at the evidence I have, and I'm publishing all this for everyone else to see.
Right, which I think is why she keeps saying she feels like she's being extorted.
At best, and at worst, that is like sicking a mob on the individual.
And absolutely has. I'm waiting to see if she then turns around, because they've made multiple motions to have him removed as the special litigator for the trustee that have been denied by the court. And the court's like, no, there's no foundation for these tweets. So this is completely without merit, because they did not establish proper foundation to admit his tweets into evidence for that motion. But I'm wondering if she will then sue him civilly with regard to all of this and saying, no, you leaked my financial records. I don't know if she has the funds to do that while fighting on all fronts in this bankruptcy, but
he certainly would not benefit from litigation privilege for what he's done, because that would, in my mind, exceed the authorization or the limits of what a lawyer is allowed to do. Now, people, I have to back out. I wish all of you, first of all, I love the question, what do you call a group of lawyers? And I'm trying to think of a good joke, so I'm going to spend the rest of the day.
A murderer. This group of lawyers is apparently called a murder, just like you.
I like Blue States as a group of lawyers is called expensive.
Well, I'm like, what do you call a group of rats? Is there a word for a group of rats, like a flock of seagulls and a gaggle of rats? Well, what is a gaggle, actually?
A
gaggle is geese.
Okay,
you
so
should
no.
know that. Canadian.
You should know that. They're Canadian.
David, the best one is an unkindness of ravens.
I thought it was an unkindness of ravens
and a murder of crows.
Yes.
Which is weird, because you would think it would go the other way, right? Because crows are smaller, so it'd be an unkindness of crows and a murder of ravens. But apparently,
sketchy, man.
Maybe we'll have a swarm of lawyers. But anyways, everyone, Eric, sorry I can't stick around much longer, but or longer. Enjoy the weekend, people. As always.
See ya.
See ya.
How do I get out of here? Now that the Canadian's gone, we can have a real discussion about freedom.
Yes, let's talk about Constitution Day.
Freedom.
Oh, I like this. A mischief of rats. I mean, lawyers.
I like the mischief of lawyers.
Yep.
Just because of the natural mischief managed jokes.
Yes.
Can I ask another very important question?
Mm-hmm.
Please.
It's critical.
Nope.
Did y'all order your iPhones today? Did we order iPhones today? Did you get the blue?
I did.
I did too.
Because you got to, you have to get a blue because you're a consumer hack and have to prove that you actually have the latest iPhone, right? I mean, if you get another one, then you're going to be classy and keep it on the down low.
Well, if you get the gold again, it looks the exact same as the other one. So if you get the blue, everyone knows it's the new one. Yes, that's exactly what it is.
I am team keep your iPhone until it absolutely has 5,000 cracks in it and is just dying in a fire.
Okay, you can leave now. We don't need responsible people.
Look, I upgrade my phone like every 5 months, and
look, responsible people who are like, I replace it when I need to. I just happen to feel that need every single September. There's normally a presentation that helps me justify it as well.
But see, I upgrade my phone every 5 months, which means I've never bought an iPhone because an iPhone is never an upgrade.
Ooh. I don't know.
There's actually a guy I went to law school with who took advantage of the Costco return program and returned his laptop every 6 months to Costco so that he never had to pay for his laptop for law school. Every 6 months, he's like, hey, I want to return this. They changed their return policy.
But did they throw in a free hot dog, though? But did they throw in that free hot dog?
Nick, we understand that you're in Minnesota and it's not just your laws that are messed up. It's obviously your taste.
Look, I'm going to channel Jesse Lee Peterson. An iPhone is a woman's phone.
It statistically does get better responses off of Tinder. That's statistically proven. Statistically proven. Blue bubbles not green, baby.
Oh yeah, Andrew, you're probably using a Korean special, right?
Listen, I cannot confirm nor deny what version of Samsung I may be using.
I have two phones.
If I lived out of the country, I'd probably get a Huawei. They have some pretty baller phones.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I'm sure you've already got TikTok. You're already being spied on. Come on, just go all the way. Right?
Oh, man.
Definitely.
Accurate.
I mean, help China's monitoring. Definitely.
I mean, I'm sure NordVPN will fix it. It's fine. We VPN. We love it.
Just not Surfshark, by the way. And if you're on Surfshark, you should get off of it. Surfshark.
Why?
Surfshark helping? Surfshark and another one we're helping people spy.
No, we're screwing over Andy No.
Yep, they screwed over Andy No. Andy No reported on a guy getting served a harassment restraining order because he was an Antifa guy who shockingly was involved in harassment and needed to be restrained. And then that guy lied about Andy No to Surfshark, and Surfshark pulled the plug on Andy No. Just said, nope, we no longer sponsor you. You're done. And then when everybody pointed out that the guy was lying, he even deleted his own tweet. Surfshark stood by, canceling Andy No. So screw them.
Wow.
Yep.
All right. Speaking of hack lawyers stealing money from clients and everybody else, who's been following the South Carolina Alex Murtaugh case?
Is this the guy who
I've been following John Pierce?
Is this a guy who's like faked his own or tried to get himself killed or whatever?
Like actual murderous conspiracy.
I've only seen a couple headlines about it. I haven't been looking into it.
Well, apparently he just turned himself over to the authorities and reported at the jail, I guess, from his rehab. The whole case seems like I'd say movie of the week, but now sounding like a miniseries.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's got a lot of, from what I've seen, there's a lot of like intrigue, and it very much looks like a mendacity of lawyers.
I like that.
But yeah, and his mugshot is great because he's got like the big bandage over his neck and stuff. It's good. It's good.
Oh, good Lord. All right. Well, since the party left with Viva, what case do you guys want to go
I'm
over
offended.
To wrap up?
Deeply offended.
We see who Eric is seeing as the big fish in this sea. Oh my God.
Everybody's so quiet, man. I'm like, come on, somebody jump up.
You were just talking. We're letting you talk.
Okay.
Oh, you want us to keep cutting you off? I feel bad that I'm cutting you off, but I'm also ADHD. I will cut you off all day long. I've been married for 20 years. I can do that all day. Yeah. You would like to get a word in edgewise? No. I'll ask you a question as you're leaving the room.
Eric, hey, have you guys heard about Gabby Petito?
Who?
Yes.
Gabby Petito.
The YouTuber, the van life YouTuber who went missing.
Who's definitely not killed by her boyfriend and probably not eaten
by her boyfriend.
Yes.
It's terribly sad. It's terribly sad, but also it's not terribly uncommon. But he returned with the van, which was shocking to me that the van didn't find itself on fire somewhere.
The timeline is crunched even more than I heard originally. He made it from the 30th back to in the Grand Teton Mountains back to Florida by the 1st. I mean,
he was booking it.
It is a 35-hour drive. I mean, this man was pulling off miracle speeds in that Ford Transit van.
It's called crystal meth.
Yeah.
Well, that's like that astronaut with the diaper. You just strap it.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, just strap it and go.
Oh my.
But no, he lawyered up immediately, and he and his family will not talk to the media, which if you are, a defense attorney, you've got to be applauding that, going like, that's exactly
like
what
that
you
probably
that's how that works, friends.
Probably is the right choice.
Won't talk to the other family, won't talk to anybody. They've got it on lock. I mean, that lawyer like pulled him over and like held him up against the wall, pulled a knife on him. He's like, listen here, you little shit. You don't talk to anybody about this ever. You don't ever say her name again. You're in the background. Get in the background.
Yeah, hide in your house, lock the doors.
No Twitter, no Instagram, nothing.
Don't go online.
Meanwhile, you're all jealous that you don't have clients like that.
Yeah, because all of mine end up talking, and it's like, stop.
You could have clients like Josh Duggar, who when the feds were searching his place, they were like, "Hey man, we'd love to talk to you." He's like, "Yeah, sure, sounds good." So, somebody downloading child porn around here? Is that what's going on?
And the feds no. How could you guess? How could you possibly know?
There's so many of them. One's bound to go horribly wrong.
Then
the
he asked,
statistics are on the Duggar
is
side
my
there.
IP address marked? Is my IP address marked? Did something red flag my IP address? How do you know? How do you know, man?
Oh, hold on. Let me close my browsers really quick.
Exactly.
Well, he was
pulled out
the
his
same
cell
moron
phone,
who
and they
had
were
this-
like, "Thank you."
Did I forget to turn on incognito mode? That's weird. I mean, I don't know.
He had a Linux partition on his computer that was using the Tor browser, and the password that he used for the partition was the same password he uses for his bank account and his Instagram account. So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Let me
it had
help.
his birth date in it though.
Let me help the chat. First of all, you don't use a Linux partition. No, you get a thumb drive with Tails. And then you have Tor installed on your Tails thumb drive. And when you plug the thumb drive into your computer, it'll boot up in Tails, not in Windows or Linux or anything else that logs everything. This is definitely not for CP purposes. This is for dissident activity like resisting vaccine mandates and exploring the dark web on how to get your off-brand vaccines or whatever you want to do. But if you want to be removed from, this sort of tracking, you use something like Tails, which has no tracking, no cookies, nothing like that. And it's also kept not on your computer, but on a completely separate thing that can be removed and stored. Look, I went to a commie thing where the commies were talking. They were all cybersecurity communists. And I'm not even kidding. Like, I walk in the room with my buddy and we're like, two kind of conservative guys, right? And he immediately looks around. He goes, "Turn off your phone."
That haircut when you went because it would have given you away immediately.
I know. And he goes, "Turn off your phone right away." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." So then we start talking. Half the people in the room are on FBI watch lists because of like Dakota Access Pipeline protests and stuff. There's some like ACLU rep there, and I was like, "Oh God, we're in hell. We're just in hell." But they went through all the cybersecurity stuff, and you cannot use something like Windows or Linux. And then the other thing that when you use something like Tails, they can track the fact that there is not net traffic going to your house all of this sudden. So it's a double-edged sword. But
Nick,
get that.
The law
Nick, how did you find yourself at this thing?
Every
Nick,
time I talk about this, I'm like, I don't want to be instructive, so I stop, and then we come on a stream with Nick, and he's like, "No, I'll be instructive. I'll tell you how to do it." Nick, you and I are going to have to go to Vegas to go to DEF CON, so you can see all of this happen in action. I'm not law enforcement anymore, so I can actually go to these things again. Law enforcement used to go to DEF CON. They had the Vegas election commission or Nevada election commission allowed them to hack voting machines at DEF CON, and I think the winning time was like 6 seconds. It's bananas, the stuff that
is a conspiracy theory. They are unhackable, Emily. Unhackable.
Correct.
Okay, why do you even go to a cybersecurity? I am a certified cybersecurity law expert.
Nerd.
I have an official. I don't know anything about it. I would never practice cybersecurity law in my current state of knowledge, but I have a document equivalent to a diploma in cybersecurity law specifically. So just for a while, I knew a little bit about it. But
Nick
now,
will nerd out. I had a case when I was doing training. I did some training with the FBI and Homeland Security and stuff because I did a lot of white collar crimes and computer crimes. And there was a guy who had his whole house lined with magnets at the exit points. So when the house was raided and they took all the computers out, it wiped absolutely everything because all of his doorways were lined with magnets. So they were saying now they check, and most of them will bring a magnet or something to check entry points because he didn't do it in the windows. So they could have taken the computers out the windows had they thought to check for it. But people are like, why did they take Duggar's phone the second he pulled it out of his pocket? I'm like, because if he had a kill switch on his phone, he could have wiped all of the computers, and that's where all of the information is in these cyber-related crimes. Same with like the Jen Shaw wire fraud cases. All of the evidence is on the computers, and if they can wipe the computers quickly, which is why everything goes into Faraday bags, and they do the cyber stuff in white rooms with huge, thick walls that you can't get signals in and out of because they lose data to those who are very clever at doing this.
That's why they
like apparently
too,
Nick Rekieta.
Hey, look,
that's probably something similar to what happened in the Theranos case, right? Because didn't they have like their entire server was just magically poof, it's just gone, all of their data.
Like, I'm not an expert,
Wild.
but in high school math, our final exam, we had those graphing calculators, right? Well, what's the thing with the graphing calculators? You could program in equations into them. And so our teacher demanded that we would delete and like wipe the entire thing. Well, I spent months programming very specific games onto this calculator, and I was not about to lose that. So I actually created a shell in the graphing calculator that looked like the delete screen and deleted the entire thing. And it was dumb. I don't know why she had us delete it. You didn't need any of the functions that weren't already built in the calculator for the exam. But so there was no way to really cheat with it. But I preserved my data by creating a fictitious delete screen with all the proper follow-up screens. It was
because no one's going to tell you what to do.
That damn right. I worked hard on that.
Snake was very difficult to program. I do remember that.
Yeah, well, listen, we had modified drug wars and stuff like that. There was a whole role-playing game in there where you had to go and kill dragons.
Bring me back to my mud days.
Proudest moment as a parent is that my 13-year-old
we need to talk
doing role play games with his friends over Discord. They have because now they all have Discord. So
yep.
I was like, I remember that because I sat in my dorm room playing on a mud server with all the other fucking nerds at UMass Amherst playing. Well, people are like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Fuck off! I'm an elf. Like, leave me alone."
Head north.
Wait, legal mindset. What mud did you play?
Oh God, what was it? Act of War? I was like one of the highest ranked people there. It was fucking amazing. I would just troll people because I was a ranger. You could set traps, so I would literally just like wait outside the battle. I wouldn't even fight, and they would just get stuck, and I'd be like, "Ha ha, sucks to suck," and just run away. Dude,
I want to know how nerdy lawyers are. This is how nerdy lawyers are.
Yes, it's spiraling for sure. Have you guys checked out Hunting Warhead, the podcast series? And the whole seizure of computers reminded me of it. This guy who was like the largest CP purveyor in the world, who like ran all these forums and everything. They hit them and another spot, I think in Germany and another country. They were working with Australia and Germany at the same time. And they go in with SWAT teams too. And that's why, because the kill switches and things like that, they're literally diving on them and seizing the person before they can hit the keyboard, Faraday bag over everything. And it is almost overkill in a way, because you're going to hear the hacker saying, "Oh my God, I'm just this nerdy hacker," and blah, 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 why they come in. But that's sort of why they do that, is overwhelming force to prevent that one, finger press or
what this is playing out on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. They had a massive team go arrest Jen Shaw when the indictment got unsealed, but Real Housewives of Salt Lake City was also filming at the exact same time. So they hit multiple locations because it was two defendants in the area, and there were helicopters, and the team like rushed into her house and then rushed to arrest her. And people are like, that seems like a lot for this one woman. I'm like, this is a digital case. This is wire fraud and money laundering. They don't care about her as much as they care about securing all of the data. That's exactly it. And that's what we were talking about yesterday. They want to secure the data as soon as someone is aware that it's that it's going down. Once you're aware it's going down, you have to secure that data. But she got a call from her husband and took off from where she was filming. And you can see production crews scrambling to follow her. And then the feds show up and descend on this van of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City getting ready to go on their trip. A lot of them look like they had already been drinking, and they're like, "What's happening?" And
that's some good TV.
I like that.
I might be missing the shows. Jeez, maybe I should watch this stuff.
Well, there's also a woman on the show that they're accusing of being a cult leader who's married to her step grandpa. It's a fascinating show. It's very
interesting.
Well, Salt Lake has a lot of weirdness in the clean living state.
It's like everybody seems to have left the church, and so you're getting them on their like Mormon rumspringa. So it's very interesting. It's playing out on TV with lots of alcohol.
Love it.
Interesting. Yep.
I love that. When I was still in the army, we would randomly tackle one another.
Back when I was watching Real Housewives before, I mean, I haven't watched it in quite a few years now. But during law school, my roommate just would watch it religiously, so I would just watch it with her. It was not quite that level of interesting. Like, it was good, don't get me wrong, but this sounds like they've really managed to like bring in fireworks somehow.
I may or may not have dated a girl whose mother was on Real Housewives of Miami.
We need to. That was not a super long-lived franchise, but a good franchise.
Wow.
She was the craziest one. That's a little spoiler.
We can figure that out pretty quickly. But look, Salt Lake City is only two seasons. The new season just started last week. You can catch up on the other season. It was pretty short. And you get things like Jen Shaw, who is now under this indictment for wire fraud and money laundering, screaming at another woman, "I don't want to hear what you're saying, grandfather fucker." And you're like, yeah! Oh my God. The grandpa fucker moment is one of the greatest moments in Housewives history. And it's and she runs a church, and it's just...
Now I'm trying to think of alternative ways to say grandpa fucker. Like, is it like wrinkle tinker? Is that like when?
Yeah.
What are the good? I want to give her insults.
Yeah.
What was it? There was an Adam Sandler movie where it was like his ex-girlfriend started like dating this really old man, and he was just like, "I can't think of you, him and his old balls or something."
It's the one with Scuba Steve, but I don't remember what the title of the movie is. So, the chat, your people are here, Rekieta. The chat.
Prune juicer. Oh,
I love it.
Oh yeah, it was Big Daddy. That was the movie. That was right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The Zaddy.
Big Daddy. That was the movie. Oh my God. That's so funny. But yeah, I always hear the Uncle Fucker song from South Park in my brain.
That's so beautiful.
South Park is still a favorite and was a favorite. So yep. Anyway, that's Housewives Gone Legal is kind of my favorite thing ever right now, because I've read all these documents and followed these cases, and now they're all playing out in real time on TV. So in like the Girardi stuff, they're filming right now in the middle of December. So I'm like, oh, the forced bankruptcy's coming. It's coming. She doesn't know yet. And she's like, my life can't get any worse. I'm like, wait 3 weeks. There's so much more that's coming. So it's fun to see. And then at the first episode, 2 months before the indictment, Jen Shaw was like, girl, I'll go to jail for you. I haven't been to jail yet. I'm like, just wait. Because the Southern District of New York would like to help you with that. So anyway. Eric, man. I'm sorry. We took a pop culture twist because I love it.
Okay, here. Let me take it.
Up in court, apparently.
Who?
Missing lawyer John Pierce.
Oh yeah,
he showed up in court.
Yeah.
Apparently, he showed up in court in DC. I have a friend who works in the district, and I said, "Did he show up on court call?" Because he said he was in the hospital for 12 days in California and he was recovering. I can't imagine he got on a plane to DC. And he said, nope, he was present in Judge Mehta's courtroom.
But see, they thought it was really strange because he had sunglasses on and he wouldn't speak, and he had two guys propping him up.
How did that man get on a plane from California?
How do they not make a sequel to that movie, by the way?
That was before they made compulsory sequels.
That's true. It would be really woke, so let's not redo it. In fact, I withdraw that statement.
Yep.
Yeah. Nope. Yep. Keep the original. It's good as it is.
No more sequels. No more remakes ever again.
No, we're done.
Stop doing it.
Yep.
If you can't make something new,
not done making everything live action. They're not done yet. Stop it. They're not done making
stop,
everything live action.
Stop ruining my favorite anime.
Okay, so since we've covered the pop culture law, I have been following the darker side of the interwebs, and there is
You are the darker side of the interwebs.
I was gonna
say, what else is new?
That's what's on that drive.
Only when I'm in blackface, Eric. Okay, no, but so it was the Kiwi Farms. The Kiwi Farms owner, Joshua Moon, has been sued. This is now like the 5th or 6th time by a lady named Melinda Scott. She is great. She's a pro se litigant who is a paralegal. And I have seen so many of these people these days who get like addicted to the idea of lawsuits. And so they file pro se against everybody. And I love them. They're perfect entertainment. She lost her lawsuit and is now appealing it. And some of the appeal points that she has are that the judge should have recused himself because both he and the opposing counsel are Freemasons of the same lodge. And so therefore, I mean, she doesn't provide any evidence of this. She just asserts it. And that the judge ruled against her because he is bigoted and misogynistic. And she's asking the judge to recuse himself again and to overturn his own failure to recuse himself. And it is just a thing of wonder and joy. The people who sue the Kiwi Farms all got on the Kiwi Farms for a very particular reason, and that's what makes their lawsuits that special sweet sauce. And
what is a Kiwi Farms? I've heard of it, and you talk about it all the time.
I just had to Google it.
I will make you define it and explain
don't
it.
Google too deep into Kiwi Farms.
I'll go. I'm going to go all the way. I never just the tip these things. I go all the way.
Yes, perfect.
And wet on that.
Yes.
That's gonna be a party.
Okay, I'll briefly describe what Kiwi Farms is. It's an old style internet chat board. And it is about chatting about typically your favorite or favorite to hate celebrity or e-celebrity. And that's it. It's where people gather and there is still some measure of free speech on the forum. The only thing you really cannot do is touch the cow. You don't touch the cow. You don't get directly involved in the person. You just sit back and laugh from the sidelines. And those are the people who get banned, is when they try and intervene and do stuff to agitate.
What's the cow?
A lol cow. The person you're watching and making fun of, right?
Don't start getting confused with lol cow, because lol cow is a whole different location on the interweb.
It's a different location, but the same sort of concept.
Same sort of thing.
For example, I am it all started with Chris Chan. Are you familiar with Christian Chandler?
I've seen little pieces of it, and I didn't want to go too deep down that hole and move on.
I will just recommend watching. I have a 2-part video series on it, and you should watch it if you want to get just kind of a basic background of that. But it started with him
enough to frighten me, at least of recent events, and I'm like, okay, that's elder care taking a whole new meaning. I really lost.
No, that's elder abuse.
No one should go. No one should go on the Kiwi Farm stuff before your innocent audience actually goes I should make an account. You should not.
Law nerds,
do not do it.
Don't Google anything Rekieta says, including
never
the hentai stuff. You my innocent law nerds. No, it's not.
I'm in it.
I'm
I
going
exist
6
in a
VPNs
dark
deep
place.
on this one.
Yeah, you can go to Kiwi Farms, but nobody else can.
Y'all partition your computer. You're not allowed to go to Kiwi Farms because you might want to partition your computer before you go there.
I do not have a Kiwi Farms account, and I would not recommend it for anyone, in all honesty. But it is an interesting place to go and read up on people. Like you can read about me on Kiwi Farms because I do have a thread.
Home address on there too.
Maybe if you look hard enough.
I saw this actually. The 60-part documentary on Chris Chan. Now that's the most I've heard of anybody covering a subject other than Robert Cano covering Lyndon B. Johnson.
Oh, you haven't been on Without a Crystal Ball channel. 60
that's
not a lot.
You're barely even scratching.
Hundreds of videos covering the same topic.
Katie Joy's got that down.
Also, allegedly active on Kiwi Farms.
Yeah. I was about to say, I wouldn't be surprised if she had some posts about you, Emily.
I'm sure they are there.
The thing with Kiwi Farms is they are aggregators and archivers of the internet. So it's not
helpful.
Yeah, it's not organized well, but if a subject that you are interested in happens to be covered by Kiwi Farms, I mean, you'll find all the court documents. They will download them and upload them to Kiwi Farms. You'll get more information about the person. They will find old Facebook posts. Oh, wait, this is not Kiwi Farms related, but did you guys see that Simu Liu's Reddit account got outed? And he was a frequent commentator on an incel forum.
Look, here's the thing. I'm just, as a disclaimer, the internet is never private. And particularly to Josh Duggar's defense attorneys, arguing that there's a reasonable expectation of privacy because someone uses a Tor browser to try to hide the shadiness of what they're doing doesn't actually give you a reasonable expectation of privacy. What you do on the internet is never, ever private, no matter how hard you try to hide it. So just go with that.
I think that Nick will want to do this on his own channel when he can get Andrew to squirm for a while. So.
I
spoil the
no,
question.
Yeah. I prefer to go deeper on subjects like that. You know.
Oh, I'm sure.
So he's going balls. Yep. Okay.
I said nothing. I plead the fifth until the episode.
So wait,
You
Emily,
said
instead of
deeper,
just
it was
the
enough.
balls
Out of
deep,
here.
Emily, that's
He's
the
gonna go balls
objectively
deep on it.
correct answer, though. That's the problem with it.
The lawyers are like Emily's dirty mouth. Look, y'all know that's there too. It's fine.
That's what I love about lawyers on YouTube, in all honesty, is like there's this progression of, okay, I'm a lawyer on YouTube. And then it doesn't take too long. And then you're like, oh, wait, I don't fucking care about anybody's opinion anymore because I'm a lawyer on YouTube.
Yeah, it was somewhere after quitting the DA's office that it was just like, I don't care. Hitting 40 also helps with that. But you know, when you do a certain type of work for long enough, you're like, yeah, I just don't give a shit.
The case volume just grinds you out. Like, honestly, that's just insane. Like, there's nobody who lasts long in that and stays completely sane. Period.
Oh no, most of us aren't sane when we go in. I mean,
exactly. It just becomes worse.
I got 3 months till 40. 3 months minus 1 day, and then I get to really stop caring. So it's gonna be great.
Is so much fun. It's very liberating.
You'll be retiree status at that point, Nick.
This is where I know that I'm old.
AARP.
I'm like, why would you spend if there's a weird individual out there, why would you spend 60 episodes or 25?
Oh my God, because he needs it. He needs it. You need it to fully. That's why I said you check out my 2-part. They're like just a couple. They're like 10 minutes each. They're not long ones.
I was worried it was a.
No.
Your show, dude. I've been on it. And I'm like,
no,
I don't have a day.
I have a couple live streams about Chris Chan as well, because there was a time when Chris Chan was being extorted by his trolls, and literally like this guy has crippling autism and was being doesn't excuse his behavior, by the way, gross, but he was being legitimately extorted by people, and that actually may play in some way into the current stuff with his mother, because it's very possible that people were prodding and pushing him towards this grotesque behavior, and there's so and it is a question. And actually what's really interesting is one of the phone calls that was recorded that kind of outed all of this is from a girl who you can find her information on Kiwi Farms too, shockingly. And her dad happens to be like a government cybersecurity expert. So it was amazing that right after a thread about her was made, that Kiwi Farms was DDoS'd for 2 straight weeks.
So strange. So strange.
But they're
you have to tell the audience what DDoS is.
Okay, I'm bad at explaining this, but basically, when
Legal Mindset wants to do it,
I literally I explained it to children the other day.
It's the same thing here.
Yeah.
I just go with DOS, not the actual DDoS. But I'm like, look, it's just essentially you're creating the traffic jam, right? You're literally manufacturing a traffic jam, and the pile up that ensues from that is everything going down. You can get more technical, but I'm just a simple Florida lawyer. We don't have much common sense down there.
You practice it.
Yeah. But it's basically you pay somebody to flood a website with bandwidth, because websites.
Man said it in the chat. You flood it so it can't be accessed, or it can't be accessible, and that's
right.
what it is. You flood the site.
It's
and
like
people may
Apple
not
when you're
understand.
trying to order an iPhone.
Yeah, kind of. Yes.
Hopefully that's customers.
But what people may not understand is that for normal people websites that are not Google's and Amazon's or whatever, you don't use that much bandwidth, and you pay by the amount of bandwidth that's used. So when your site starts to get a ton of hits, you start to forking out more money, or they just don't cover the bandwidth that's being used and your site goes down. So that's what the DOS attack is, and it's very cheap to send a lot of bandwidth towards a website, and it's very expensive to pay for that incoming bandwidth and keep up with it, and you will always lose that battle. So that's why services like Cloudflare and stuff exist, because they take care of things like that. But yeah, it's a mess. It's a real easy way to take stuff down,
and it's really funny when they're on Amazon Web Services or something, because the good DDoS attacks are going to load images like over and over and over and over and ram up that bandwidth to an extreme degree.
Wow.
And when you're on Amazon Web Services, yes, you're right. You're paying for the bandwidth, and it's very cheap in terms of the very little. But then once it scales, then it suddenly gets extremely expensive. It's kind of like an APR loan in a weird way. You know, where the mortgage payments are really cheap, but then you have a balloon payment at the end. That's sort of how some of the web services stuff goes.
I feel like I should also point out that swollen balls is trending worldwide on Twitter. So, you know.
That's awesome.
You're welcome.
Just because we've gone to those questions, I'm like, maybe they're watching the stream. I'm sure they're talking about Nicki Minaj's cousin, but you know, this is days and days of this. But nobody's talking about Nicki Minaj's husband pleading guilty to failing to register as a sex offender. So, you know, Nicki Minaj might be the smartest person in the room.
Interesting.
Well,
kind of like Cuomo deciding to resign right before we withdrew from Afghanistan.
Yeah, the timing is so interesting. The lawsuit with Nicki Minaj and her husband is very interesting. But yeah, he just pled guilty to failing to register as a sex offender. So
are any of you following? Speaking of sex offenders, are any of you following R. Kelly?
I
saw that
he hit on somebody.
Yeah, I saw that he had the trial was going on, but I haven't seen.
I saw
any
that one of the in custody attendants was leaking his jail calls and jail records to Tasha K, who's currently being sued by Cardi B for making alleged defamatory statements, who is another YouTuber in a KJ nature. So yeah, there's a big investigation going on as to how this YouTuber got access to his jail calls and what have you. So there's like subtext underlying the trial that's going on.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then there's paid someone off to forge a birth certificate so he could get married to a 15-year-old.
Oh, I guess
Aaliyah, and then killed her in a plane accident or whatever.
Well, that would be, I don't know. That was an accident though, right?
I don't know. I don't know. Her album sales went way up after she died.
It's like I have questions.
I mean,
look, I think she went to the island. She's out there with Biggie and Tupac hanging out on the private island for the recording industry when they need to boost sales. And they just go ahead and kill someone off. I hate it. Look, I hate Aaliyah.
Lost.
I'm going to die on this hill. I hate Aaliyah and everything she stands for because of that stupid song with that fucking baby sound in it. You know what I'm talking about? It was her
I
one
love
hit.
that song.
No.
Yes.
No. I worked at Circuit City in the music department. I had to hear that song 15 times a day. Oh, God.
I'll be watching you like a hawk in the sky.
Wow.
I love that your cat wants to get in on it too.
I know. He is
trying to do that.
He's a real singer.
Getting that baby sound in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Holmesy, come here.
I mean, all of us who worked in retail in the 90s are traumatized by the fact that your store had one CD that was approximately an hour and a half long. A shift was 6 hours or more. And those songs will forever scar you. I still hear things on the radio that played when I worked at Express or Sports Chalet, and I'm like, no.
Look, I will say though,
baby.
I was what 16 or 17, and "Hit Me Baby One More Time" was on the video playlist, and that was good. That was a good thing right there.
Yeah.
Oh, so you did say actually one more time. Yes, please.
Yeah,
one more time.
Every time. It was amazing. I was always able to stock CDs that faced the TV during the Britney Spears song video. You know, it was good.
We love Britney.
Nice. Yeah, for a while I couldn't do Christmas music because I was working on a Santa set in college and I at the mall, and I couldn't do it for a little bit.
Yeah. Did you?
I also will never. No, thankfully no. But I also will never. When I eventually do have kids, I will never allow them to sit on Santa's lap unless I know who Santa is. Because that was interesting. Because one of the benefits of benefits of working there was we were able to get free photos with Santa. And the thing is, I noticed that anytime there was a group of younger women that came through, he always wanted a copy of it. So I was like, no.
Did he snip their hair?
I don't know.
When
I
you,
don't
when
know.
you did you ever confront him and did he say, "Come on, man," or anything like that? Like that ever-
No, I didn't do that. But because like I said, I was like a freshman in college. That was like one of my first jobs ever, and I just was like, this is weird. This is weird, right? Why is that one of his benefits? Why is that something that he gets to have, like pictures with random people?
That's a good one.
Anyway.
What's everybody's worst job? I'll start. Stove vacuums door to door for Kirby. That's about as embarrassing as you can get.
Ooh, yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, I was the prize attendant at this place is now defunct and out completely, but I was the prize attendant at Sega's GameWorks, which was a goddamn nightmare. Which was a goddamn nightmare.
Oh no,
that sounds fun.
He's the guy like you take your tickets to.
Yes.
And you got to get like the little spider ring.
We had no machine.
So you had to hand count tickets?
Yes.
Yes. It's like,
and they were going for that giant fucking Sonic. Everybody wanted, and they were always 100 goddamn tickets short.
No. Yes, they were. But now those machines are a liar and a coward. I hate those machines. You know, you feed them in there, you counted them out, you feed it in there, you're like, there's 35 missing. No. Don't you do this.
This is an experience I had like 20 years ago. This is your experience from last Tuesday.
Yeah.
Nick, I heard those machines were actually made by Dominion.
Yeah.
Whoa. We weren't stricken before, but now.
Why
It's done. My worst job, it is a tie between working at Circuit City, but that was only just brief periods of it were the worst job. And then the one that was worse the entire time was my 1 year as a personal banker at Wells Fargo. Oh my God, kill me.
What's a personal banker?
A salesman.
Okay.
Provides intimate customer service.
I call you up directly and I say, "Hey, banker, go do what?"
That's what they sell you on, is that you are some sort of, not a financial advisor because that requires licensure, but you're like a financial advocate. And what you advocate for is home equity lines of credit to be opened up in the customer's name, and credit cards and stuff like that. It is one of the most soul crushing, or used to be, sure it still is, one of the most soul crushing positions. You had specific goals. It's like, you need to get 7 sales today, which is opening an account is a sale, getting a debit card to someone is a sale, and you had to have those goals hit. For the record, I don't think I hit goals in a single pay period. Not once. I'm the worst salesman on the planet. I told them I was the worst salesman on the planet. I said, if you want a good salesman, do not hire me. I'm bad at it. If this is a sales job, you hire me. It's on you. I suck at sales. They hired me and they got mad when I didn't hit their goals. And I'm like, I told you I was bad at this.
But didn't you get to wear an apron?
Yes, I did. No, actually, I didn't wear it though. So the district manager in St. Paul, this downtown St. Paul, Minnesota, the district manager comes out and he's like, "Nick, I need you to go stage direct." And that's where you go walk through the line of people who are all like cashing the check because it was drawn on Wells Fargo on a Friday, and none of them can have checking accounts because they're either illegal immigrants or they're homeless or they bounce checks 4,000 times in the past. They just can't get a checking account. You're supposed to go through and talk to each one of them with a clipboard and an apron on, a denim apron, and get their needs so you can direct them to a banker. And he's like,
apron for?
Because Wells Fargo is stupid, Eric.
So that you know that that's the person who's there to help you. You can trust them.
I'm in a suit. I'm in a suit and tie. And Robert Hoke is the district manager. He comes up to me. He says, "Nick, I'm going to need you to go stage direct." And I said, "Okay, but I'm not wearing that apron that it's draped over his arm. I'm not wearing an apron." He's like, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm not an idiot." And he says, "You have to wear the apron. It's the thing." And I said, "Robert, do you want me to go up and sell to people? If you do, I'm not going to wear the apron." He's like, "Fine, I'm going to prove you wrong." He puts on the apron. He's in a more expensive suit, and he puts on the apron and goes through the line, and he comes back and sits down at my desk kind of looking disheveled. And I said, "How'd that go for you, Robert?" He said, "Well, I didn't get any, I didn't get anybody to come to a banker, but I got a couple of people who said they're interested in coming back. I said, now, if I came back and told you the exact same thing, you would have told me that I did it wrong and didn't try hard enough. And he looked at me and he goes, yeah, you're probably right. And then I was like, I hate you. You are awful. This job sucks. It's terrible. And then he also conceded that I did not have to wear the apron. So I did win that day.
Nice.
Nice.
So that was the first thing you sold.
Yeah.
Not wearing the bait.
That's right.
Yep.
No.
What about you, Emily?
I have had a lot of jobs, but I think the one I hated the most was working as an in-hospital EMT. I almost dumped 2 people trying to get them to the morgue because I lost control of the wheelie cart.
My God.
I also didn't do well with smells and bodily fluids. It was definitely not a job for me. I thought it would be a great experience. I was like, I don't like the medical field. There was also a summer where I worked in a program with the Secret Service and ended up doing security at the DNC in LA and got a behind the scenes of the Secret Service and politics. And that was also not great. I think any illusions I might have had as a young political science major were shattered. And if you think that everyone just has sex with each other and doesn't really care what they're doing, that's true. Everyone just has sex with each other and doesn't really care what they're doing. That's accurate.
What's scary is don't mix that up with the morgue part.
What, Eric?
The problem is don't mix those 2 concepts up with your morgue job.
Yeah, I mean, same. It was very interesting. Some of the jobs I had were very interesting. I also worked
really rough.
Congress. I worked in Congress for a Republican member of Congress. So I've had all of the different aspects, and people are like, Twitter's like, Emily, you're too liberal. Emily, you're too conservative. It's like, haha, you can't figure it out either. Good.
When the mortician says I sleep with my coworkers, yeah, we have problems at that point.
Oh man.
My family run funeral homes, and my childhood memory of being locked in a casket permanently made me claustrophobic.
Oh my God.
Yep. 3 hours.
That's the issue with you.
It's not the morgue is not like the fresh. It just look there. Okay, so the thing is, in the hospital I was at, to get down to the morgue, the hospital hallway went down, and then it went down, and then you had to turn. So I would be like holding on to the cart, going down and down to get to the hospital morgue. But then at the end of the hill, you had to turn. So if you let it get a little bit ahead of a steam, you would crash into the wall at the end.
God.
It was. Yeah, medicine is not for me.
I once visited. I had a tour of the LA County Coroner's office, or not office, the LA County Coroner.
And so where you go shop?
I don't remember because my memory is solely focused on that horrible room. But what's interesting about it is because it's LA, so many celebrities die also. So they have like a special cage for them specifically to keep out paparazzi because people, paparazzi are that terrible that they will go to that length to find, the remains of whatever celebrity to get that story, get that photo. But that was just like, because I was like, growing up, I grew up in a small ethnic community. I grew up going to a lot of funerals. I can handle this. This is fine. Like I'm familiar with death. And then you go in there and you realize, wow, like we, like in order to be able to handle this stuff, like we ritualize death like crazy. And, otherwise when you strip all of that down, because you have to, in order to work there, right? You have to get rid of all of that. So, in order to be able to do your job properly and just tear these people up and figure out like what it was that they suddenly died of. It just like, that was just a really big thing for me. Yeah. And I couldn't eat chicken cutlets for a while. Definitely couldn't eat ribs for a while.
There's definitely things that I still smell because I went to witness some autopsies on cases I was working on. Mm-hmm. The thing is, when you're a DA, your humor starts to skew away from humanity. But what I was not prepared for is that there was a kid there the day we were watching like bullet trajectory rods be put into somebody, and the large area where they were doing all the autopsies just had slabs and like 6 coroners working on 6 different people. So there's no not being aware of what was going on. Watching autopsies is fucking horrifying.
Oh, it's awful.
It's awful.
It's Oh God, yeah, there was one that was going on when we were there too, and it was just, I mean, oh God, yeah, it was bad. It was really bad.
But the gift shop at the LA County Coroner's Office is amazing, and they have beach blankets that have like outlines on them. I still have a hat.
I do remember now.
Yeah, they had little pencils that had like body outlines on the thing. The gift shop was fantastic.
I was admittedly a little bit too traumatized to focus on it. And then I remember also, so the what's like right outside the train station, because I would take the train home from that internship, because that was when I was interning with the Attorney General's office in LA. And good Lord, I'm blanking on Olvera Street. So, Olvera Street is right there. And so I was like, I'll distract myself while I'm waiting for the train, because it was like a half day because of this. And I was like, this will be great. Like, okay, candles, scents, get that smell out of my nose. And it's like, everything is like Dia de los Muertos. And I'm like, I can't get away from it.
I cannot.
Oh, man.
By the way, I got a grift on the locals here a little bit. These are all being done by Tape Damage, aka James Esparza, on locals. And he did the one earlier with Megan Rapinoe. And so there's kind of a simultaneous chat going on with locals.
That's awesome.
And there's always some memes that are
Don't touch the cow, as opposed to jute lavage, but I like it. I think it says a lot about LA when even the coroner's office has a gift shop and you actually can exit through the gift shop. But yeah, I enjoyed most of the time working in LA. It was good. There were definitely a lot of summers spent in downtown LA. It's hot and the dash doesn't always come on time.
Yeah.
I feel like I've made it.
Did you tell your worst job, Legal Bytes? Because the internship can't be it.
Yeah, that was not that bad.
No,
it was more degrading.
It was the Santa workshop. It was just like
right.
It was bad. I mean, because there was Santa was a creep. I didn't want to have anything to do with them. And then also a lot of the parents of babies and people would be standing in line for a long time, so they would get very cranky. They would get very particular about the photos that they wanted to do, and so it was just one of those like nightmare scenarios that I was like, you know what, I'm very glad that this is a temporary job. I am learning a lot from this, and I'm never doing this again.
It ruined Christmas for you. That's a terrible job when you ruin Christmas.
Just for a little bit. Thank goodness it all came back later.
So what is your best job outside of being a YouTuber? I'll start. Dishwasher. I mean, no kidding. It is other than the pay, which sucks, the fact that you can do a job, have the dishes clean, and just hang out all evening or do whatever it wants with no responsibility. Best job in the world.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. So mine probably outside of law, because I had one firm in particular that I worked for that I just loved, because it really felt like a family environment. Like we would, at the end of the day when we were done working, we were split into two different offices, and so our office was a lot smaller. And so at the end of the day, the partner that was in our office, it was us and me, the partner, and another associate for most of the time that I was working there. At the end of the day, we would go to the break room and like have a beer or have a glass of whiskey and just kind of talk about life. Oftentimes talk about politics, because it was like that good of an environment that we felt comfortable actually discussing those kinds of things. And I remember my boss actually one time, so I was always a little bit center right, and then the other associate was a little bit center left, but we were close enough that we could meet in the middle in a lot of ways. And I remember my boss was like, you guys should really start a YouTube channel where you guys like discuss this kind of stuff. He's like, I would totally watch this all the time. And I was like, oh, no. Like, I can't do YouTube. Like, no. Like, I am not a YouTube personality kind of person. Like, I value my privacy. And lo and behold, years later, this happens.
I guess you were right.
Mine was I was back office at Thrivent Financial's investment brokerage firm or brokerage arm, and so I quickly became the subject matter expert for account maintenance and cash transactions, which meant whenever there was a problem, I was the person who got to fix it. And the reason it was the best job, because I was really, really good at it. And 2, I got my entire job done by about 11 a.m. every single day, and then would just sit there and screw around on either Facebook or reading blogs or writing blogs until I went home at 4. I for lunch, I would just go and walk through the Minneapolis Skyway system and go to Barnes & Noble and read for 40 minutes. And then I would walk back and grab food on the way and eat at my desk because I was already done with my job. So it was perfect. And I got to do that for 3 years. The job was great. The bad part about it was that I couldn't get out of the job to get more money. That was because they're like, no, we really like you here. And I'm like, yeah, but I really like pay. So, but it was the actual act of working and stuff was great. It was fun.
Emily,
I loved being a DA. There's a lot of stories I can't share about it, but being a DA is unlike any other job ever. But it came with a highly stressful part, and the police ended up doing protection on my house when I was pregnant. So that kind of negates it from being best job ever. But I lifeguarded in the summers because I played water polo in high school and college. So I lifeguarded in the summers and got to run around in the sun in a little bathing suit with my friends, flirt with all the guys that I played water polo with that worked with me. People brought us free food all the time. And I worked out all day and got a wicked tan and then went home at the end of the day and was like, we get to do it again tomorrow. Lifeguarding was probably my favorite. Low stress. Nice. I mean, one of the pools I worked at was 4 feet deep all the way around. Like the biggest issue was maybe a kid throwing up or going to the bathroom in the pool. Like it was great. And the free food was definitely. We're talking about
it was Nick.
Pool, or puking in the pool. We're not talking about peeing in the pool. Nobody closes.
Not a Nick party. Not
Look,
a party.
A pool is just a big toilet if you're ambitious.
So for me, it's definitely, I was a bartender in the era of Sex in the City at Blue Martini. So I poured so many wives Cosmos. I think the triple sec is now soaked into my bones. But the days would go by so fast and I got such high tips. I'm like, can I start a legal themed host bar? Like if I get Nick and Viva, like, can we open this and make money? Because I feel like this is it's so easy, and it's so fun. But it was a good time.
Viva's
everyone
like
loves
Tom
the bartender.
Cruise. He's got the height.
Yeah. There we go.
Did you just say Viva's already? Like Tom Cruise? He's got the height.
Yeah.
The shade's brilliant on that. The shade. The shade.
It'd be like Cocktail.
But if I were to say my best non-law job, it would be working for Golden Spoon Frozen Yogurt, which is a chain in California. That was just one of my favorite things that I got to do in college. I liked it so much actually that I worked at 2 different locations, one back home where my parents were. So when I would go back home to visit them, I would work on the weekends, and then one right by my school at UC San Diego. It was just fun because I don't know, swirling frozen yogurt is super easy. You get regulars that come in that are just sometimes crazy and sometimes hilarious. And I was organized enough that my managers were like, how can I promote you faster?
Like, this is great.
Yeah.
Low risk, high reward, low stress. I mean,
yes.
Which you
and
get
a free
with really
pint of frozen yogurt and a free pint of frozen yogurt with every single shift.
Free food makes every single job better.
Oh, hell yeah. Especially because you're not getting paid, because usually the best jobs don't involve a lot of money.
I mean, I think one of the indexes for job happiness, right, is either like if you have a high stress job, you have high control over your job, which for most lawyers you don't. So, the more stress you have, the more control you need, or low stress, low control and completion at the end of the day, which kind of falls into what we all enjoy doing. Eric too, with dishwashing. It's like, I'm done, I go home. Like I've had some good conversations, talked to some people. At the end of the day, I get paid, the work's done, and you get to go. It's I think why my retired husband likes to putter and do yard work. He's like, at the end of the day, I see improvement. It's done.
You don't have dreams about, that pile of dishes over there.
Yeah. You don't wake up in the middle of the night in a cold panic with a notepad.
Or in the shower like, oh no, I forgot.
Always in the shower.
Deadline.
My buddy's a lawyer. He tweeted this morning. He says, forgot I had just got notified that I had a court hearing this morning and I'm on paid time off. Should I zoom in my robe? Yes. Do
Oh
it.
no. Oh
I'll just
no.
tell
As
him
long
it's
as
a
he's
cat.
not a cat, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, or named Buttfucker 3000. That was a good moment too.
That guy's my favorite.
Booming.
Actually, that guy's
Middleton?
no, the buttfucker guy. Actually, his sister is my favorite because that's what happened. His sister set up his Zoom and put his name as buttfucker.
That's what everybody says. Or is the secretary's account? That was the excuse for the cat. So I mean, that's the ultimate boomer excuse. It was my receptionist.
Yeah, no, I think it
so
was.
good.
That is
Lawyers
that
are
is
the
the
worst.
sibling move of the decade. It's like, oh, you got court tomorrow, but you're done.
Actually, the best move I've heard. Bring in Viva back in, but for April Fools, his wife shaved a bunch of beets into the meal the night before. I love it, Emily. Anyway,
There you
bunch of
go.
shaved beets, so he didn't know he was eating beets, and the next day freaked out when he went to the bathroom.
Oh my god.
Oh
funny.
no.
Oh, gosh.
Oh no.
That's pretty funny.
I feel like I'm gonna lose my soul if I stare into that cat's eyes for more than
It's like
10 seconds.
it's like a
There's
cat
something
next to the
inside me.
cobra.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
Well,
cobra
his
cat.
Arms.
Yeah, well, and his version looked like so sad too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know.
This one's more of like an ermine, like a strong ermine.
That cat, it had worry. I've never seen a cat look worried like that cat.
Yes. Yeah.
Definitely read
Have you
facial
guys-
expressions better when I don't have a hat on.
Have you guys seen my painting? 1 second.
Yes. Yes.
I
Bring
like
that
the
up.
whiskey painting.
Uh-oh,
Oh, the
uh-oh.
lawyer cat painting is very good.
Yes.
Oh, all right.
I happen to have this painting handy, which is weird, but
I love it.
Oh no!
That's the worried eyes.
Oh, God, who did that? Who did that?
a guy named Eric Waugh. He's I mean, he's a relatively famous artist, but he's a friend. He did that, and I bought
Oh,
it.
man.
He sells it at. He'll do these things and then sell them at a charity auction. Your cat just got wrecked.
Is there an NFT I can buy?
I don't know if he's doing
I want one
NFTs.
too. I
but-
want one of those as well. I would totally hang it
No,
up.
no.
Here. Okay.
I put it up. I had a hearing the other day, and I put it up. I took the booze picture down and hung the cat picture. I thought that was a little bit
No,
better.
leave the camera on, Alita. I want to see.
I mean,
that.
lawyers like booze too,
Melee.
but I love it.
No, sorry, I had to fix the curtain. Hey,
Oh.
no, you're getting too excited. Quiet.
Oh yeah, Kyle Rittenhouse had a hearing today.
Oh,
Oh,
that's big.
I wonder-
Should have caught that one.
yeah,
Hey, hey,
probably
hey.
because Barnes is involved with that.
Well, he's not making appearances before the court at this time. So
No, he's doing the
the PR basically.
So
yeah,
was it evidentiary
publicity,
hearing?
Some other people are involved. Yeah.
There was there's some motions being considered. I think one of them might have been the motion to dismiss the carrying while a minor charge, which I think is completely improper under my read of the law, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But Barnes seems to agree with my take on the law. So, but of course,
Isn't the law on that's it doesn't apply to all guns?
Yeah, it doesn't apply. It says in there that it does not apply to long guns or long-barreled shotguns or long-barreled rifles, which would
Right, so
be
people can hunt.
right. And there's the only thing is if you do not comply with the hunting licensure requirement. But the interesting thing is when you're not hunting, there is no licensure requirement. So my argument is that law does not apply because he wasn't hunting, unless you want to say he was hunting commies. But no, that's a joke. That's a joke. But no, so he's not hunting. He's under no obligation to have a hunting permit or hunting license or tag
Also,
or
what would the
anything like that.
punishment be for lack of a hunting license? A fine?
Yes.
Yeah.
It'd be fine. So
And
even
then-
if
And then this charge in addition to the fine, if you were caught, I suppose. But as a minor without a hunting license, right?
Right.
Then this would be it. But he's not hunting, so it doesn't apply to long barrel rifles, which is what he had. By all accounts, he just had a stock AR-15 style rifle. It was not a short barrel rifle, And so in my opinion, that charge should be dropped immediately. But I don't know if they were hearing on that today. I know there was a motion out for it, so this would be the time. So I'll have to check up on it because I've been waiting. But yeah, that's one of those annoying ones where some people are like, just leave that to the jury. It's like, no, that is not a jury question.
What?
That is a
question of law.
A question of law. And I
think people forget though, Nick, that there are questions of law and questions of facts, and that the questions of law do not go to the jury. The questions of facts go to the jury. And I think I've learned more about the lack of understanding of our judicial system in the last year than I had ever been aware of previously, because everyone wants to be a legal expert on the internet now. And you get to see how people just fundamentally don't understand how our system works, the foundations of our system, or why it works, and don't really care. Because I get comments like, I don't care what the law says. I don't care what the judge says. This is bullshit. And I'm like, thank you for outing yourself. I can block you now because I don't want to argue with people on the internet.
I mean, I do. I'm one of the people who will disagree with judges, from time to time. But, like with the Minnesota Supreme Court on the Muhammad Noor thing, I disagree with their read of the third-degree murder statute. However, they are the Minnesota Supreme Court, so they get to cheat. They go to the top of the stack. They win on that argument by virtue of who they are. But I disagree with their read, but too bad. Like
if all the lawyers agree on anything, it's probably a problem.
Yes.
The lawyers should disagree. Yeah. We're the only ones apparently allowed to disagree anymore, which is why I love these panels, because you have to disagree and have conversation. And most lawyers find a collegial conversation where there's disagreement to be enjoyable. And especially on YouTube, a lot of us don't have colleagues anymore. So this is where you get to have that banter. The Legal Bytes was talking about in the break room after work, where you get to run by cases and thoughts and what's going on in the world and understand how to have a conversation that's respectful when disagreeing. And that is a skill that is quickly being lost because you're not allowed to disagree anymore.
Right. And that's actually been one of the most interesting things that I've learned as a social media lawyer is, one, not only just how many people don't understand that lawyers can disagree, but how many lawyers don't understand that lawyers can disagree. And that's the weird thing where it's like, or how many lawyers will say, well, it's settled case law. And it's like, I mean, this isn't the exact same situation as the quote unquote settled case law. And by the way, some settled case law is wrong and gets overturned. Like that's how it goes. And when did lawyers stop doing that? Only lawyers on Twitter, I've found, don't seem to understand that when your client has a position, you are obligated to attack even the settled case law in an attempt to get your client's position forward. But not on
the case
Twitter.
law can always change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or you can just fool the judge.
I
hold the hole over their eyes.
Yeah.
So, Nick, you're saying that John Roberts would belong on Twitter since he believes in stare decisis so much?
John Roberts belongs somewhere that I can't say because it would be taken the wrong way, but it involves like an electric chair. No, I'm not a fan of John Roberts. I think he is a coward, and I think he is a poor choice to lead the court. But that being said, my favorite is fooling the judge into thinking that the law is what you want it to be, right? Like that's the best.
The confidence game.
Yes, I got a judge to dismiss a case based on the idea that the other party wasn't a legal entity. I was right, but she didn't have to dismiss the case, but I got it dismissed and it was beautiful. And then one time I fooled a judge into forgetting that my client had several probation violations that were supposed to be addressed later in the hearing. I filibustered and got him to forget about it.
There's some poor DA or city attorney going, but wait, and the judge is like, I've already ruled.
The probation guy, when the judge said, okay, we're adjourned, the probation guy's like, what the hell? It's like, yes.
Yeah, you gotta learn to speak up for sure. Because court, that's definitely part of being in court. Not that I miss it, because I sure don't. It's not always more collegial, but most of the time. Criminal courts, though, more collegial than civil courts by far.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Oh, because the stakes are. Is it a case that people fight the highest over low stakes?
I don't know.
Like
I think it's also you're getting
whatever.
paid in civil. You're getting paid by your client to advance their proposition, and the chances that you'll ever run across those exact lawyers again is not quite as high. In the criminal bar, when you're dealing with a prosecutor's office, if you screw over one of the prosecutors who doesn't like you, they will tell all of their colleagues, and you will never get a foot in again ever, and no one will listen to you. And so there tends to be a more collegial back and forth, and the judges know most of the regular defense attorneys and regular prosecutors, so it's a much smaller bar, particularly somewhere like LA, where the civil attorneys, like the second you disagree with them, the end of the email is govern yourself accordingly, and you're like, that escalated quickly.
I love the govern yourself accordingly. Love
Such a good line. Well, also with correct me if I'm wrong, but the prosecutor's office, they work for the state, but it's not the same as getting to know and getting attached to a civil client where you're going to get their life story. You're going to be spending a lot of time talking to them. There is no person that is representing the state or a representative of the state that the lawyer is becoming attached to and invested in. Whereas in civil matters, I mean, you get to know these people, you get their bias side of the story, and it's your job to take that bias side of the story as far as you can go. And so there's you start to like some of these people. Criminal defense attorneys don't always like their clients either, because the spoiler alert, almost all of them are guilty. Almost everybody is guilty.
How dare you infer that, Nick? How dare you?
It doesn't always mean the state did their job.
It does not.
True.
And not everybody's guilty, but man, first of all, the chat, you're guilty. You have committed a criminal act within the past month, and you probably don't even know it. So don't ever look down. Don't ever look down on criminal defendants just because they're guilty, because so are you. But that is all you anime nerds out there with your 9 anime or whatever, pirating anime like degenerates. I know you. I see.
I paid for all those DVDs, Nick. All of them. All of them.
I'm getting spam in the chat. I've never had this before.
Just go block.
Oh, welcome to it.
Well, I mean, you're gonna get webcams for hot boys and girls whenever you got
made
Nick
it.
on. So
yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead and just block them from your channel. Just click on the name and block, and then you'll stop getting spam.
I was sitting there
spam
going,
can affect your
"Wow,
channel.
okay, odd." You got Nick here, and
I bring the bots, baby.
It's engagement at the end of the day, but I have got to.
it was the Kiwi Farm reference.
It was
Yeah, I think
absolutely. We said it
need
more
to
than 3
wrap
times,
it
like
up.
Beetlejuice.
Triggered.
All right. Well, real quickly before we go, everybody except for Emily is on Locals, unstructured.locals.com.
I'm on Patreon.
That's true.
It's okay.
Legalbytes.locals.com. Do you have more than one post yet?
Yes, I have 3 now.
All right. Roll. And legalbytes.locals.com, rekietalaw.locals.com. Please consider following everybody. You don't have to pay, but by following, we can contact you via email, especially me, because if my channel gets taken down because of this damn stream, I might have to say, hey, I'm still here, please. And it does give me the access to reach out to you. Consider subscribing. I know you're following all these guys because they're amazing. And